Back in the game with that, with the crack of a Heine Zero. We're back in the game.
Welcome back to Absolute Podcasters, everyone. I think this might be episode 7.
I have no idea.
Well,
it's around that maybe.
Long time in the game we've been now, and we'd like to introduce our guest today.
A very special guest.
He goes by a few names, but what he's legally known as is... You're out.
I might have just myself. I thought you were going to give me the big old trumpets down the corridor kind of thing. So I am Jake Edward Pinnell, also affectionately known as JP. JPness. Jeremiah Pinnellski.
Jeremiah Pinnellski.
And as Jack likes to call me, Pinnellski. So
Pinnellski.
Yeah. Jakey P is a favourite of mine.
Yeah. A man of many names.
Yeah. Much like
yourself, yeah, of course.
But yeah, what we're doing today is we're going back to basics. We're doing Jakey P's, Pinnellski, Jeremiah, Edward, his top 10.
Edward.
we're doing his top 10. We're not, we've done quite a lot of heavy analytical, just deep discussions. We did animation, trilogies, Mamma Mia. Some big topics in the film industry, and we wanted to just take a chill pill, come back, see what movies mean to Jake, see what's in his top 10, and just go from there.
We were saying earlier we're interested to do because obviously how we'd be doing topics, it's a lot of all three of us present in the podcast give our top 5s, so it's going back and forth between. So me and Josh were saying it's going to be interesting switching it up a bit and having you just go through your top 10, and then we're just sort of purely listening this time, and sort of feeding back off what your choices are, which I think is going to be really interesting.
I'm going to probe you, mate.
I'll be quite interested to see what you say, because I feel like a man's top 10 films kind of reveal a lot about your personality.
It's true, mate. It's
true. It really does tell you what the person's like.
You've got to be on the edge with that, Jake, because you're a very, very dodgy man, aren't you?
Yeah, it's got some dodgy films as well, mate.
I got to say, I have no idea what's going to be in this list, so I think that makes it more exciting for us, but also entertaining.
Every movie Seth Rogen's ever been.
Shit, how'd you know?
Literally. Cut it there.
Okay.
Well, is there any more housekeeping to go?
I don't think so, mate. I think we're good to go. Oh, well, so we'll just kick off with your 10th pick.
Do you have a list on your phone?
I've got
make sure we go from 10 to 1.
So 10 to 1, yeah.
So
10 to 1, we can do that, yeah.
Jake sent me a picture of his top 10 earlier today, and luckily, knowing what it would probably be, I refused to look at it just in time. And so me and Jack are in the dark now. You're going to get our live reactions,
which is the way it should be.
It's been changed a bit since I sent it to you. So even if you did have a peek,
it's a tricky list, mate. There's always going to be chops and changes.
It's very much like the kind of persona of Jeremiah Pinnellski. It just kind of changes as the years go on and the months and the days. It kind of flips from one end to the other.
Ever changing.
Ethereal.
Okay,
Sublime.
So shall I start?
Please.
Shall I just start before we
go ahead?
Otherworldly.
Go ahead. Okay. Don't worry about this.
So my number 10 top rated film of all time,
huge
in my eyes, is going to be Parasite.
Okay.
Great mention. Great mention. Starting with quality. Here we go.
So it's a South Korean.
Set the scene. No spoilers.
We do
tend to go into spoilers
every episode.
Yeah, well,
so
spoiler
if it aids, I mean, I guess you can try, but if it like aids the discussion, then it doesn't really.
No,
matter.
I think a film like that you kind of do need to talk about.
Like,
to talk about what's good about it, you do need to go into what happens.
So basically,
I need to tell you, yeah,
we'll spoil it. Yeah,
but you boys have seen it, right?
Yeah, I have seen it.
Do you want to tell him?
Yeah, no, funny story about Parasite. To be fair, me and Josh sat down to watch it, and we picked it together, and we were both sort of sitting in.
It's been a while picking it as well.
Yeah, and finally got around to watch it. We're a few, like, not too long into the film, 10, 15 minutes or something. And I'm like, look around to try gauge Josh's reaction, like, oh, what's he thinking about this film or whatever. Look around, and he's just conked out asleep, like head back,
mouth open,
like just absolutely out. So I just watched it on my own the first time. He has slept through literally the whole thing.
I watched that on my own.
It was good, man. It was good. It was quite. Well, I mean, I'll let you do the talking, but I can see why you say that.
Oh yeah. Well, I just thought
when did you watch it?
So it must have been maybe 2 months ago now.
So quite recent.
Yeah, so fresh. I didn't see it in the cinemas like a few of my housemates did.
Right.
I think Lammy and all that lot went and saw it.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Barrack Lane.
Yeah, to number 12. There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'd heard a lot of stuff about this film, and I was apprehensive to say, like
in what way in terms of?
Well, just because I heard that it was all
you've heard so much
it was all just in Korean and it was all subtitled.
Jake's scared of Korean.
No, let's not go down that avenue just yet. Okay.
Cancelled.
But yeah, I was going to say just cancel culture.
I'm just trying to pounce. Someone else gets cancelled instead of
the second Josh sniffs something that someone else can get cancelled for. He's on him like a rocket, mate.
Basically, like
your time will come. Your time will come.
It's like just watching a film with subtitles. It's kind of weird. It's a weird concept to think about, but then after like 20 minutes, you don't realise that you're just reading it off the screen.
I think it's so important. I think dubs, they just detract from it so much because it's not the actors in their own language like expressing themselves. Like just the sound of a language, I think, in the background is really important because it's part of the culture and everything. There was this one German show I watched ages ago. They accidentally put the English dub on immediately and it just completely ruined it. So I
swear Money Heist as well. Like the second or third season,
really?
From like the first 1 or 2 seasons were in Spanish, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
I've never actually.
And then it got big, and then they put it on Netflix, and then like the English subsequent seasons were like,
they dubbed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So the subtitle thing was actually, one of the things that makes it such a fun film in the end. Because you can kind of like pick up on their tones and their body language a lot more.
Yeah, interesting.
Because obviously you can't like hear exactly what they're saying.
Jakey P.
Yeah, so it's kind of it's good fun.
I'm too tired for an analytical film. I'm gonna fuck off now.
But yeah, and the plot twists at the end.
Yeah, they were serious.
Without revealing too much to the.
No, come on. I think there's been enough spoiler warnings at this point.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you don't need to go into overly loads of detail just to say like it goes from 0 to 100.
Oh yeah, exactly. The whole thing's very, placid. Maybe you'd say.
What does that word mean?
I think it's kind of sort of like just not a lot going on.
Yeah,
kind of like
just calm.
Yeah, calm. That's a good word.
And then it just like you say 0 to 100 it goes.
Yeah.
There's definitely a weird eerie vibe at the start.
Even though there's not a lot going on, you can tell there's something's not quite right.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you're always waiting in anticipation for that moment when everything changes. Which makes it a really good watch because you're constantly anticipating something that's coming, and then when it does, the film does it really well. It like takes it in a direction you couldn't quite like. I had no idea it was going to go anywhere, maybe sort of in that direction, but like the extent to which it does,
the way it did it as well, it was just seamless. And you're like, how have I got here from 20 minutes ago?
Yeah, but it's testament to a film that you've. So have you seen it just that one time?
Just the once.
Yeah. I always think it's testament to a film if you can have seen it once and it be in the top 10, but also having seen it so recently as well. Yeah,
for me it was just a film that like really stuck out for me. Like I was like, I've never seen anything like that.
Well, there we go. That's what I mean. Top 10s. Top.
That's what it's for.
Top 10s are great for very much what we talked about in our first episode. Like the ones that really leave an impression of you, and it's very much like, well, I don't really know if films could like have that kind of effect on me.
I mean, it had me behind a pillow for like the last 20 minutes.
And for those of you, obviously you can't see because it's a podcast, but Jake's a formidable man.
Of course.
So for him to be behind the pillow says quite a lot.
Well, the pillow does provide a fair bit of protection. So it's always a good bet. It's always a good bet.
Listen, you don't want to mess with that.
Even for a man like me.
There we go. Finally he acknowledged it.
Of course.
What do you have any favourite moments in the film? But particularly, I think with this one, it's quite with what you talked about, Jack. It's quite an interesting question. When do you think stuff really started going from that 0 to 100? Any particular moments? It's a difficult question because obviously
it was just
for a while, but
when they discovered the basement.
That's the tipping point
and you're just
where,
like, wow, this is just weird now.
I'm just picturing it in my head now, and it's just it's so unsettling because the thing isn't. Prior to that point, there's the whole the bit where they're stuck in the house where the parents are back or something.
Yeah, the parents are awake.
That's it.
And they're hiding beneath the sofa,
and they're trying to
just in
sneak
front
out
of them.
because that bit is like that's heart pounding. Like you're just oh my goodness, like. And then that's before everything gets really, really weird. But even that bit's a really good sort of suspense portion of the film. And the fact that you get that prior, like that would be a good climax of a lot of films. And that's just in the lead up to the actual climax, which is just like insane.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, it does really well, just like delivering the emotional side of it, I guess. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Just like really hits home. And I said it before, but like just the fact that you can't understand what they're saying doesn't mean that you can't understand what's going on.
No.
Yeah. Well, I like you said, the thing with the subtitles is you do quickly adjust to that to the point where you can pay attention to what's going on, like the rest, like you said, body language. I think it's a very easy kind of mistake to think that subtitles mean your eyes are constantly down at the bottom, but you do learn to read quick, basically. You know, within the course.
Yeah, it's not the case. You kind of take it in, and subtitles provide such a short amount of the text in one go that it's you can take it in as you're watching, sort of scene to scene, without worrying about sort of constantly looking down and looking up. But yeah.
What about some of the acting in it from the mother? I thought in particular with the just with the child as well.
The mother of the wealthy family.
Yeah, at the start, I just sort of like the weird vibe about the kid being quite like a crazy little kid.
There's the drawing, isn't there? I remember there was a scene with the drawing, but
I can't remember the first.
So because when they're for one, that's
before I fell asleep. So.
Yeah, that's all you.
That's the first 10 minutes.
That's my knife.
Yeah, it's a really interesting plot. Like I'd never seen a film with a plot anything like that before, which is part of what makes it so entertaining. But in the lead up, where the one family is kind of sort of getting integrated within the wealthy family, because one of them starts working for them as a tutor.
It's a tutor,
something along those lines.
Dad's the driver.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it,
which is so interesting.
Yeah.
And I think it's either in the tuition part or there's basically one of the connections is that the child of the wealthy family does a drawing, and it's just like a kind of normal drawing, but the sort of imposter family is getting in the wealthy mother's head and saying this means this, and like psychoanalyzing the picture and stuff, and like deceiving them that way, which is I thought that bit was so interesting.
Yeah,
it's like part of the ways they manipulate them psychologically.
That's talking about what you mentioned earlier in terms of like how it does. It's eerie and you can tell something's going to go wrong, but that's a great example of like, you know, the very, very specific part of the film that does it. Like it's psychological at the start. And
very much so.
I was expecting a very psychological thriller, but what it does is it starts with that kind of like the kind of lack of what's the word? Kind of lack of empathy, like lack of care for like this wealthy family. They just want to play with them, toy with them.
Yeah.
And the extent they're willing to go to kind of just mess with these people who are wealthy, living a completely different lifestyle plan, and just, you know, getting inside the head of a mother about a child is quite a demented little.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it
twisting of that basic familial love.
It places you in quite a tricky position as a viewer, because the perspective you're told it from is from the imposter family, who, in the context of the story, are the bad guys.
Yeah, they're kind of.
But whenever you're told a film from the perspective of someone, you're sort of more naturally inclined to side with them. But it's you can't side with them because they're morally obviously so wrong. But you can't side with the wealthy family either, because the wealthy family they're portrayed in a way that sort of satirises that upper class. They're portrayed as obnoxiously wealthy and immoral because of that.
Definitely.
So you're really sort of in a grey area as a viewer, and you don't know who to turn to and who to sort of side with, which makes it an even more unsettling watch.
Weirdly,
I found anyway.
I don't know, from my perspective, I'm sort of like, I don't know if it's my lack of empathy coming through.
Fuck the rich, Jay.
No, but it's
down with the bourgeoisie.
They more just got conned. Like, I don't think it was like a personal. you know, like
I mean, don't get me wrong, they did get conned, but what they did is pretty.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think it was like a personal. You know, they just found a rich family. And
No, it's not at all. But I don't think it has to be personal to make it. They got played. It doesn't. It's not all right just because it wasn't personal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know it's
but I hear what you're saying. It's not like a. Yeah, no, I do understand where you're coming from.
I love that.
They got played.
That's a good point as well, because I do think.
Yeah, no, it is.
I mean, that guys I guess kind of shows the moral grainness that we can have such different reactions.
Exactly.
Jake's obviously a heartless little shit.
Honestly, it's just how I roll. It's just how I roll.
They got played, son. Oh, that's good.
Shall I go on to number 2 then? Oh, number 9.
Nine.
Counting.
Yeah, math.
Yeah, I think that's a strong opener though.
Yeah.
Okay, it was.
There's a lot of meat on the bone with that film, but obviously.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I've only watched it once and I can't remember. I know that it had an impact on me, but
of course, yeah.
I can't remember all the details.
This is. I'm going to try and bring out the tough questions here, but could you maybe 3 words, the kind of emotions you felt? Well, maybe 1. Let's go. 1 or 2. You have your choice, but just a couple words.
Okay.
The emotions you felt from that.
I was suspenseful.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Definitely.
Curious.
Yeah.
And
It's a difficult question.
I don't want to say scared, but like
apprehensive.
Yeah, apprehensive. I was going to say because as I said earlier on, it's you know something's going to happen.
Yeah, it's not quite fear, but it's the anticipation of something coming that might scare you.
Well, I mean, you did hit the nail on the head there. Like it's a masterclass in suspense in film.
Yeah, and the curiosity. That's a good word of a good way of summarising it as well, because it's a film.
Sorry, for those of you, you can't see
for
that.
For the listener,
I just got touched.
I gave support to tap on the knee to Jay just to see. Well done, mate.
Wait, what the hell was I talking about? Oh, curious. Yeah, curious is a good word, because you're frightened watching it, but you want to keep watching because you want to know what happens, but at the same time you don't want to see it. But that's what draws you in and makes you want to keep watching on.
You're enticed, maybe.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I like just to finish off like the what it builds up to, because a big issue with a lot of suspense in films is sometimes it just kind of like beat around the bush, and they're amazing suspense, but there's no real payoff. Not that there always has to be a big payoff, but there definitely is in this film.
In this film, it has to pay off. Yeah.
It's nice that they really, I guess when you're sitting down to watch something to be entertained, it's kind of nice that they really push the boundaries of this what if scenario, which is
it's kind of a thriller, right?
Definitely. Psychological.
That really is the beauty of fiction. We touched on the socioeconomic stuff. I don't know that much about Korea personally, but I've heard from my sister that it's like quite a big. Obviously, we miss out on the subtleties of it, but as you said, like it's quite a the kind of divide between the rich and the poor is really big in that country, much more so than the West.
Okay.
And so that it's a very relevant film for that, and it's just interesting that they do that with a morally grey kind of.
So you could say it's a microcosm, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Holy shit!
Bringing out that GCSE English.
Yeah, mate. There we
go. Who would have thought?
Jake Edward. Pinnellski.
Shout out to Miss Ansell. There you go. Anyway,
who is that?
A teacher. You know Ed Ansell.
I know the name.
It's his mum.
Oh, okay.
She was my teacher, my English teacher.
Oh, right.
I mean, no one's going to know that.
Well, fair
play. Do you reckon
she might be an avid listener, you don't know.
Yeah.
Jill.
Wait, Jake's on the podcast. No way, I feel like it.
Well, there we go. Anyway, very good, mate. Strong number 10.
Strong number 10, okay. Yeah. So number 9 for me is going to be Unbroken.
Okay.
And so...
Is that the Bruce Willis film?
I don't know. It's about...
No, that's Unbreakable, isn't it? Isn't that? Or am I thinking of what am I thinking of?
It's about the dude that. So it's about this guy in the American Air Force during World War II.
Yeah, it's not the one.
I think.
No,
carry on.
It's like a war film basically.
Okay. Different film.
But it's got a cool perspective to it.
Yeah.
So it's about this. So it starts with like this guy's a kid. He's called Louis Zamborini, I think.
Right.
It's based off a book, and he ends up getting into the Air Force, the Navy or something like that.
Oh fuck! Sorry.
Yeah, pull it up. Yeah.
Just pull up the IMDb or something. Carry on, man. And just so we can kind of get a gauge of
World War II. Unbroken. World War II breaks out, and then he's part of like a bombing squadron, I guess. And they get.
Oh, I've never watched this one. I've seen that.
You must have seen the cover.
Yeah. I recognise the cover.
And they're in the Pacific islands fighting the Japanese.
Yeah.
And they get shot down in the middle of the ocean. And then only 3 of them survive on this little life raft.
Wow.
And a large majority of the film is them out at sea.
Oh wow.
In this life raft. I think it's like that picture there.
That's them out at sea. Yeah.
And yeah, there's sharks trying to get them. There's a couple of Japanese planes that try and shoot them out of the water. Obviously, they're starving. I think they're out there for 4 or 5 weeks.
Like a more realistic life supply.
Yeah, I mean, no tigers.
I'm not watching it.
Unwatchable.
And then they
0 out of 10.
get picked up, go to a Japanese war camp, and then it's this whole psychological battle between him as a main character and this prisoner, this prison camp guard person.
Right.
Okay, so there's quite a few different segments.
Yeah. So there's sort of the build up, the ocean bit.
Film.
Yeah, it's like a good 2 hours.
Right.
But it's got some good acting and some really gritty scenes, especially in the prisoner of war camps.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
It's real, that stuff. My one of my I think my dad's brother-in-law was in a Japanese prisoner of war camp.
Really?
Don't really talk about it much, but
wow.
It's quite funny. Yeah, it
doesn't sound very.
I was gonna say it's not very funny.
He just made a joke once about one of the people he was married to it was tougher being married to them than it was being the prisoner of war camp. The guy could still joke about that, yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's very real, obviously, for a lot of people who served. And the Japanese have a brutal history of committing atrocities, basically.
Oh, they do.
But
they're fearsome warriors. They are historically.
Yeah. I've heard you described in that way as well. Actually. Fearsome warrior.
Maybe I am Japanese.
But that I think I quite like the idea of watching that because it's one of those things that I've heard about mainly Imperial Japan is what I'm talking about more specifically. But a lot of atrocities are committed, and you can imagine the prisoner of war camps being particularly rough. Sorry, go on.
I mean, they portray it very well in the film. How skinny they. I don't know how they managed it. I don't know.
It might be.
Is it makeup or is it actual?
Well, a lot of actors do dramatically lose weight and gain weight. Can go the other way, but for roles, Christian Bale's the big example in The Machinist. But a lot of actors do it, which really when they you can really see he's really gaunt there. And I mean that
great work.
It's always when a actor does that for a role, it really adds to the experience of watching it. It's so much more immersive. And whilst you're watching it also adds to the sense of obviously you are watching a film, but then you're watching it thinking, wow, he was committed enough to do this for the role in the film as well. So it just adds another dimension to it. Yeah, I'll have to. I'm a big fan of war films.
I'll get.
I haven't seen this one, but so I'll definitely add it to the watch list. But I really do enjoy a war film.
I don't think we've really touched on war films that much.
No, we've spoken about Inglourious Basterds. It's a bit of a different take on it, but a great film.
Yeah, I'd take a few out of the top 10 list.
1917.
Does this?
That's great. I just saw that for the first time. I've never seen Dunkirk.
Dunkirk's great.
Isn't that another film where there's no speech in it? That's all
No. There's speech. Yeah, there's speech in Dunkirk.
I'm thinking of one.
It messes around with time though, because classic Nolan really. But it's
not to the extent that obviously something like Inception does.
Or Tenet does.
But it's sort of it's all happening in one moment, but there's multiple plot lines in the film where the timelines in them are sort of mixed up. And it jumps
sort of
back and forth
overlapping
between
and
it all does link up at the end, but they sort of mix up over the course of the film. It is really good, and it's a very visual spectacle. It's very aesthetically pleasing to watch. Yeah, of course.
But do you reckon? I was going to ask if there are any other war films coming up, but I was just going to say, do you reckon this? Because you said there's a couple of others you had to take up. What do you reckon this war film has over the others you've seen? Because there's some great war films out there.
This one, interestingly, is less about the actual fighting side of it,
right?
And it's more about the effects on people,
Brilliant
especially the soldiers. So actually, I don't think you see them fight in a actual combat scenario at all, during the whole film.
So that's a very different.
So it's all about his life and then how it then develops into the storyline.
Little wedding with the wedding picture here.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
that dashing young man.
It all develops quite nicely. And there's no actual combat.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer.
That is a good answer.
It's always a really interesting whenever we're talking about war and films and stuff. A lot of the famous stuff is the action scenes, the battle, the march to blah blah blah. But a lot of the difficult things kind of come on the way back. The people stranded. The whole journey back from war is a really interesting little concept, I think. I guess one might even call it a microcosm. I'm messing up.
Okay, I'll touch your leg this time. There you go.
I'm calling the cops. No, I'm joking. But I think that's a really interesting. That's a really interesting part of war to really show.
It is.
What about the characters? I think we didn't really go into the characters.
The characters.
Because with something like this, I think it's important that they get portrayed as people you can get attached to really get a sense of like the pain they're going through.
Yeah, well, I don't know. The characters are okay. Yeah.
Did you not feel particularly?
No, I didn't really feel like.
Interesting.
To be fair, actually, if there's one character in the whole thing, it would have been the
Japanese dude.
Yeah, the Japanese prisoner of war. Like,
Jake just likes people getting beat the fuck up.
Because this guy was. What was it? But I won't give it away so you can watch it.
Yeah.
But it links back to him at some point, I think, when he was younger.
Right.
The Japanese guy.
The Japanese guy. And they kind of... Yeah, it sort of interlinks, their lives do. And so it becomes a very personal thing.
Between the two of them?
And I think he's in a prisoner of war camp where there's like 500 people.
Right.
But the guy in charge...
Is that him there?
It is him, and he singles him out like every time.
Oh wow!
And it's called Unbroken because of the amount of
psychological
shit that he got from them. Yeah.
Interesting that there's no physical warfare, but then psychological warfare between the characters.
Yeah, it's context of war, or where like it's not like Parasite, for example. There's a psychological warfare thing going on, but within the confines of civilization. This is within full-out blown war, but even in the deeper layer of that, in a prisoner of war camp, there's little battles going on.
It's more just it's more like the hopelessness that the soldiers have.
Yeah,
because I think they're like 2,000 miles away from home on some Japanese islands, like not the mainland,
Pacific,
but
and this is after coming from being stranded in the ocean.
So they thought they were down their luck, but then they've been picked up by a boat. It was a Japanese naval boat.
Oh wow!
And they've been chucked in a hole basically. So yeah,
that's crazy.
Very bright film.
Strong film.
Yeah. But no, again, another film that's clearly sort of had a profound impact.
Yeah, I just like a good war film,
Yeah, war films are great. Yeah. I agree 100% with that.
I think, as we've touched on, it's important to kind of tell those stories, I think.
It's important to acknowledge the past.
Yeah, and it's a true story as well.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And see the strapline there. The unbelievable true story.
Because it was a book.
Well, a little oxymoron for you.
I got given the book the other day by my nan.
Oh, really?
So I want to try and read it.
Yeah, absolutely.
How
is it?
Yeah, it's just I think the film's based off the book.
Is it a long book or?
It looks quite long.
Right, quite thick.
It's quite a thick boy.
Right.
Yeah, maybe 3 C's on that.
Maybe.
Maybe 500-600 pages, which for me,
that is
3 C's. Yeah, no.
I'm not an avid reader, so it's quite a lot for me.
Yeah.
Well, mate, there's a summer coming up. Summer's always great for reading.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, great
cool,
option.
lovely stuff. Okay,
we're just trying to spit out good vibes here, man.
Yeah, mate. Of course. So number 8.
Number 8. Let's hear it.
Okay, so you're going to have seen this film. Okay. So Avengers End Game.
Okay.
Right.
This will be good. This will be a good discussion. I'm interested to see why you like this one particularly.
Okay. Well, obviously, this is the season finale, isn't it? This is
the big finale.
This is the culmination of like 25 other films.
Years of work.
And
was it planned from the start?
Well,
with this
ending? Maybe not every single detail, but like obviously from the point that the MCU was conceptualized, they had it building towards a big finale. Like there's parts in the early films that are piecing together elements of this final film.
I haven't watched the early films as much, but anyway, don't
get me wrong, I haven't seen every single one, but I think I've seen a fair amount of films.
I've seen a fair few. I know the core themes. I've not seen Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't really
good film.
Get on with
that
film.
I really like. I like.
So you don't get on with it?
I like the
no, I don't really.
I think
you like the more serious.
Yeah,
actually.
it's a bit too childish.
Just to kind of arm-test psychoanalyze it. I think Jake feels a bit threatened by Chris Pratt's charisma, because Jake's usually the Chris Pratt of the group all the time, isn't he?
I mean, I'd say I'm more of a Robert Downey Jr., but
there you go, mate. How do you like them apples?
I don't.
Yeah, cheese apple.
Cheese apple. Very good. Haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah.
He who shall not be named.
Grandmaster.
Cheese apple.
Risen from the dead. Should we get a picture?
Yeah, but for me,
pull it up because the poster's quite cool. Just all the
the whole film is just cool. Everything about it's cool.
Well, it is.
And
It's true.
In a single word, it just appeals to your inner child. Like,
yeah,
I don't care who you are.
Always the way with superhero films. I do like them. I don't know if it's a controversial opinion or not, but obviously it was a two-parter with Infinity War.
It was, yeah.
And I preferred Infinity War personally. I like that more. I don't know how you feel about that, but I liked it more.
What? I'm just going to throw the question out there. What for you made you put Endgame in there over Infinity War?
Or
Infinity War is the fan favourite.
Okay, for that matter.
Well, yeah, Infinity War was like really good, obviously, and I would say. Okay, don't laugh at me when I say this.
No,
as a film, probably better than Endgame, maybe as a film in general.
Okay,
but because it's Endgame,
yeah,
it's just that much better.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
The end, and that's
there can be films in your top 10 that you think are objectively not as good as others.
For sure.
If you like them more, that's why they're in your top 10.
Infinity War is a better film, but Endgame, for what it is and everything around it, and what it represents, I think it's just.
Am I correct in thinking Endgame is the one where they have the big thing that's used in memes a lot, like the
massive battle against Thanos?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They do.
Do you think you just like the fact that like these things build up to something, but there is the culmination, and they threw everything into.
They literally everyone you'd ever seen in any Marvel film growing up was in the last half an hour of it.
Yeah.
And
it's very true.
It's just great. And I mean, like for me, I think Iron Man was one of the first like Marvel films or like franchises, I guess, I probably got into
as a kid.
Is that a favourite?
As a kid.
That's
a
favourite superhero of yours, Iron Man.
Yeah, for definite. And obviously seeing the end of
Downey
that.
Jr.
Yeah, exactly.
Little shit.
And then seeing what happens at the end of Endgame. I don't want to spoil that for anyone who's not seen it.
Of course, tugs at the heartstrings.
Yeah, I mean, it really, or his lack of heart, But
wow.
There you go.
Wow, we've got an artist sitting across
Jeremiah.
A Picasso.
That was my cat's name when I was growing up, Picasso. There you go.
You should rename this podcast The Life and Times of Jake Pinnell.
That's such a good name. What type of cat, if you don't mind asking? What sort of?
Just a regular cat.
But is it like, what colour? What did that?
It was like a ginger, black and white cat.
Oh wow, like a tortoiseshell.
Yeah, tortoiseshell. Yeah,
it's more of a cubist,
but a bit more like white.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Picasso. That's such a good name.
Yeah, Picasso.
Fuck's sake.
Sorry about
you guys can't kick me off this thing.
Oh, we'll stage a mutiny. We can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Stan Lee.
So back to Endgame. Let's get back on track.
Anyway, yeah.
Longest silences I think we've ever had.
Yeah. Where were we?
And I really like Spider-Man as well. So
I'm a big. I've said this on the podcast numerous times before, but Spider-Man's my favourite.
Tom Holland especially is very good.
I'm a Tobey Maguire fan. I can appreciate that Tom. I do think Tom Holland. I've said this so many times, but I do think Tom Holland's the best Spider-Man. But I like Tobey Maguire the most, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked his incorporation into the MCU, and obviously his relationship with Iron Man, especially, is really
it's very
great
wholesome.
little.
I'm someone who's quite against that. As I think I've mentioned before, I don't. I think Spider-Man is very much the independent superhero, and I don't like the fact that Tony Stark.
You're stuck in the past, mate.
Yeah, I can see that.
Thanks, Jake.
I can relate to it.
But
no thanks to you.
But yeah, just an all-round, and obviously it's one of the biggest box office films ever, right?
Yeah,
well,
and that adds to the spectacle. As much as you don't want that to come into a factor, it adds to the excitement value when you go to the cinema and you think, wow, I'm seeing Endgame right now, the spectacle. Obviously everyone's talking about it all the time.
But it was very much part of the zeitgeist, the cultural phenomenon.
Oh, it was, yeah. It took over the internet for a long time.
So let's get more into the Endgame plot stuff.
Okay.
Quite a big, because the thing about Infinity War, right? So let's talk about the context. The thing about Infinity War is it was like the big kind of climax, right? And this was, I guess, the denouement. Maybe do you think that's fair? Or there was some climaxes as well.
I think it's more Infinity War's the build up to the climax. It's climactic in itself, because what I remember when I watched Infinity War, when I got to the end of it, I thought if that had ended there, maybe like because I wasn't expecting the ending that happened. Obviously, you get so used to a Marvel film, you're expecting it to be all wrapped up with a happy ending.
Yeah.
And when they flip that on its head, it really leaves you like, oh my goodness, wow. Obviously, they're setting up for a 2-part film, fair enough. So in that sense, I think Infinity War does build to a climax, like you're saying, Josh. But then the second film, the climax of that, I think, is definitely still a climax. Like that big battle is the climax of the MCU, like that phase of it.
It's very much
but it's following. That's perhaps what makes the two films so good, is that there are two climaxes almost.
Yeah, I'm not as clued up on the technical terms of the different story structure arcs there are, but I guess it's kind of the, you know, and superhero movies are great because they're very much the classic hero's tale, which is a very old kind of like story format.
Yeah.
But and I guess that's kind of one of the reasons they're so popular. I forgot the exact name. I think like there's a great book on it called The Hero's Journey.
Right. I don't think I've read that. But.
Which just kind of goes into like a lot of the tales, like mythology and all that stuff. They're all about heroes, and there's something that really kind of penetrates the kind of storytelling world. But something that I guess is quite good with it is there's always a kind of the hopelessness point. So if you picture like a little graph, you know, you've got like the rising action, all that stuff, and then there's a bit where like you like plot optimism on the y-axis, talking to a chemist over here, a little scientist.
I'm out of my depth here.
It really drops.
Yeah.
Most stuff really drops just before like it comes up again, and that's what adds. And Infinity War, especially in the superhero context, it really accelerates that to a level, as you just said, that isn't seen before. But I my big thing when watching, because I'm not as big in the Marvel universe apart from Spider-Man as everybody else was, but I was quite skeptical of the whole just like because one thing that really frustrates me about superheroes is they're very much like he just kind of comes back to life, or like some kind of Deus Ex Machina where like somebody just comes in from the blue, and
Deus Ex Machina, isn't it?
Jesus Christ, yeah, I got it completely wrong. And I think I was really interested in End Game because I was like, how do they get around this massive issue of they've, you know, are we saying it or for Infinity War?
I think most people have seen it.
Yeah, it's quite old now.
Half the population is dead, and it's very much like it feels like there's no coming back from it. And I always think, what's the challenge of telling something convincing where the payoff at the end from them overcoming this challenge is going to be rewarding and not just like some random thing happened. And I remember watching. I think the time travel thing it's a very complicated thing. There's a lot of issues that can come with time traveling and storytelling, but I think they did handle it relatively well.
Yeah, and it's because it's through one of the Infinity Stones, isn't it? There's a time stone.
Yeah.
So I liked that it was obviously time travel. You talking about sort of plot devices that can kind of be a cheap way to get out of something. Yeah. Time travel is quite an obvious way to just be like, okay, well, we'll just go back in time and sort it out. Yeah. But it has relevance to the plot line in there being a time stone, and obviously the Infinity Stones are the core part of the plot. Yeah. So it has relevance.
It's within the kind of confines of the universe.
Exactly. Obviously, there's not much that's not within the confines of.
Yeah,
I
think
they are superheroes, but I
think that is my fundamental problem with the Marvel universe. But yeah, sorry, carry on.
No, I was done. I can see why it could be a problem, but I just enjoy that kind of stuff because sometimes you need that kind of escapism where just anything can happen, so it's entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you're saying, Josh, because saying about Iron Man earlier on, I was into it when I was sort of like 12, 13, 14, but then for a good 5-6 years, like before Infinity War and Endgame came out, I was so anti-Marvel completely. Like, I just did not want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
I started watching a bit of... honestly, like I thought, it's for kids or whatever. And then...
Straight war films. I saw... somber phase and just like...
on his crying 13th birthday, mate, just throws the Marvel DVDs
yeah, it's just like...
Saving Private Ryan comes out.
But then I watched a bit of Captain America and I was like, okay, he's a cool dude. He's quite relatable. We're like, you know...
Getting huge, obviously. Getting huge is relatable to Jake.
But like, you know, and it sort of like enticed me back in. And then obviously with all the hype surrounding the last two, I was like, I've got to get involved in this or else I'm going to miss out.
Rewatch it.
I'm very, very happy that I got involved.
Any other favourite Marvel films? Obviously, not necessarily in the top 10, but just other favourites within the franchise.
So, yeah, well, I've got one that might come up later.
Well, please save it for
I'm going to say it. But I'd say that...
any other honourable mentions?
I'd say that any...
It's not Guardians of the Galaxy, that you've very clearly established that.
I'm a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, I really like it.
Are you? I don't give it.
Yeah, literally.
But Hulk is like one of the ones, like one of the earliest... like the original Hulk films
with Ed Norton
Was that the guy that's in it now?
No, that's Mark Ruffalo. So I don't think there's a standalone Hulk film with Mark Ruffalo, but the original one had Ed Norton. That's an interesting pick,
the first ever Hulk film, I remember seeing that when I was very young.
Search Hulk Ed Norton, see if you recognise the actor, but I'm pretty sure that's the one.
Jake just can relate to fucking massive pecs, so...
The one where it ends in the school?
I can't remember. I literally can't remember it that well, but...
Jake after one session of the puberty.
Anyway, that's the one with it. But I'm pretty sure that's like the most recent standalone Hulk film.
Yeah.
Because Mark Ruffalo's great as Hulk.
He is, yeah.
But I don't think he's got his own film.
That's sorry to keep on the Endgame, but there is a lot here. I think the comedy. I think Paul Rudd is great in.
He's a good addition. Isn't he?
I think he's
Ant-Man.
great. Yeah, I think Ant-Man's a bit of what I found weird is it was weird that Ant-Man was like one of the ones left over because he's very much he's not one of the big like flagship Marvel superheroes.
Yeah, big name actor though.
Yeah,
I guess.
I thought he was one of the most relatable. I think it was a nice little addition that you got the relatable because he wasn't in Infinity War, was he? Because I think they like knock on his door or something.
At the end?
Maybe right at the very, but he's not the main part of the film, like he is named.
No, because wasn't he in the quantum realm
when the Thanos snaps his fingers?
Yeah, because that was from the end of the Ant-Man film, right?
Is that in?
I thought he was there because of Ant-Man.
Is that when Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Yeah,
you're right. So you might be right. That's what I'm getting confused about. Either way, I know what you're talking about.
But basically, what I'm trying to say is, I think it's nice. I remember enjoying the fact that he did add a bit of like what's the word? Lightheartedness to
definitely
to what is
comic relief.
Yeah, there you go. To very much a somber film, and also I found him quite obviously him being Paul Rudd, a screen favourite, but he's very much a human character compared to all the. Excuse me.
Yeah, he's just a bloke in a suit, right?
Yeah.
And he's a great dad in the Ant-Man films.
Yeah, exactly.
With his daughter, like those bits are really.
They're very human, and I personally find it quite. Was like as much as I find like Thor and that really fun, like I think Thor's hilarious in these later movies. Like
Ragnarok's unbelievable.
But the Scarlet Witch and some of the other ones, I just find them quite hard to get that attached to them because they're just such like serious.
They are quite late additions as well, so it's tricky.
Yeah. But I thought Paul Rudd was great to kind of bring it back, and the chemistry they've got between the cast really brings alive the whole Avengers team. That's something I thought was completely missing from the. So I think I watched the first Avengers film in the cinema, and I really didn't enjoy it.
Really, the first one's good. I think the first one's really good.
Age of Ultron.
No, Age of Ultron's the one where they go a bit. It's still not bad, but they go a bit off. That's the second one. The first one's just Avengers Assemble, which I think they did really well with Loki as the. Yeah,
I've not seen that one either. That's the thing. I dropped off.
That one's really good. Yeah. So Avengers Assemble was the first real instance where you had some. It's not on the scale of this, but it's the original Avengers, and you have the first. Point of them assembling, and so for that reason it was really good. I remember seeing it in the cinema as well. I'm really enjoying it.
I don't know, man.
Mate, we can disagree. It's all right. What didn't you like about it?
Get the fuck out of my room.
What didn't you like about
it? I really. So this is what I was like talking about the differences between those ones. Is I think I just didn't like any of the superheroes that much. I thought they were quite flat personality wise, and the difference I'm pointing out here is the fact that. I think by this point all the cast has really they've really developed the personalities. The actors have grown into the roles. Again, Thor was a big one I mentioned. Obviously they've got a much expanded cast.
But it's always going to be the way I guess with more films.
Not just that, but I do think the chemistry is there. And at the end of the day, something like this, like the more chemistry is, the more they feel like real people, the more attached you get to. Because it's a very fantastical world, and it's quite. It's asking you to maybe this is me as someone who isn't always into comic books, but it's asking a lot of you to kind of sit there and suspend your disbelief. And I think the human that's why the human elements is so important, and that's why I think they do great in these last couple of movies.
Yeah.
Same with Thor Ragnarok, like it's just so human. The characters.
Thoughts on Thor in this film is this the one where he gets out of shape?
Yeah,
controversial.
Because when I watched, I'm fairly certain but I'm pretty sure I watched it with my family, and I'm fairly certain it was my mum, maybe my brothers, but someone in my family just didn't like that element of it. They were just like, no, I wish they had taken me that direction. I thought it was quite funny.
The Fortnite reference was a bit much.
Yeah, but very, very like on brand for that time.
Yeah, they probably made it.
It was like 202017, 2018.
Like, hey kids. We're down with fellow
children. No. I thought it was quite funny, and it's when you make a film. The trouble is, Thor Ragnarok was done so well, and when you've added that element to Thor's character, you can't really just make an Avengers film that just sends him back to serious Thor of the first 2 films. It's just like, well what happened then? What happened to that Thor?
Favorite?
Did it well?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it personally, but I can see why it might be a bit contentious with
favorite characters in this in End Game in particular, not necessarily favorite Marvel movies.
In End Game, I'm gonna say it's got to be Captain America. Because
fair play.
I
like Captain
because
America.
For me, it's the bit when he gets Thor's hammer, right? Because he's finally worthy of it.
He's picked up, yeah.
And for me, that's the bit where he sort of like transcends from being like human to whatever Thor is, a god. Yeah,
I'm not that built.
God of Thunder, Norse God of Thunder.
Exactly.
In Age of Ultron, do you remember the scene? You've seen Age of Ultron?
I have. Yeah.
Do you remember the scene where they're sort of like laughing and drinking in somewhere, and they're all trying to pick up Thor's hammer?
Yeah.
And they're all laughing around, going, Thor's like, no one will be able to pick it. People try it, whatever, and they can't do it. And then Captain America does it, and he tries to pick it up and can't do it, straining, and it budges a tiny bit, and Thor's laughing, and then you see his face just drop as it like budges slightly, but then he can't do it, and then Thor's like, I wasn't even bothered.
Like foreshadowing,
but then exactly. And then in this later film he's become worthy,
and he picks it up and he sort of saves the day, which I think is really, that's cool. Like a spine thing.
Really. I think Thanos as a villain deserves a shout. I think he's a great villain.
Yeah, true.
And he's like, it's hard to obviously there's a lot of weight on the villain when the film is the climax of so many years' work in the MCU. There's going to be a lot of weight on his shoulders to deliver a worthy bad guy the role, and I think he delivers pretty
Brody,
well.
I think
is that I'm not sure of the voice actor.
Also the motion capture as well is quite a bit, because going off what you said, I think Brody, too much. The recent MasterChef season we've been watching recently.
So what it's done with of course, like we were talking about motion capture in another one.
He's in Deadpool.
He's what's that guy called? Cable or something like that, isn't he?
I can't remember, but
some South African dude, isn't he?
Those lines.
Yeah. I think there we go. There's the motion capture he's in. So all these mannerisms are his acting. Like you said, I remember looking at the pictures of Thanos and just being like, okay, he's purple and got a big chin, like great. But then watching the movie, because I had all the hype before I actually watched Infinity War. I actually didn't watch Infinity War when it came out. I watched it before Endgame came out. And I remember once he was on the screen, and the voice as well was great, and just he does really capture the screen, and he doesn't I don't know. There's a very good balance of the gravitas he holds.
Yeah, he's measured in his. He's very much a villain who's measured in his approach, which is quite often a more sinister.
Sinister's a great way to describe that.
That's what I was trying to get at, but you worded it a lot better.
Yeah, he's a good villain for sure.
Yeah, it is really scary how kind of what's the word? Kind of premeditated everything is.
Yeah,
and how his whole motivation is quite unique, as opposed to a lot of the kind of post Dark Knight stuff gets very like, chaos, it's evil because it's chaos, it's so scary. But this whole option, no, I'm trying to do this for the good of the universe in a sinister ways.
Yeah, and you people just don't understand that I'm trying to help you.
Yeah,
it's the premeditated is a good word, because I can't remember which Marvel film it is, but one of the end credit scenes, which obviously they're famous for, the post credit scene, is him. It cuts after the film. And it's him reaching for the Infinity Gauntlet, and he says, "Fine, I'll do it myself." And that's in like the build-up, because you get sneak peeks of sort of Thanos in some of the films. Yeah, and obviously it's at that point that he just plans and executes everything.
Was that because he was sort of like watching all the other films? I can't
remember.
Fail against them.
I can't remember which film it is and which villain is unsuccessful. That's quite cool, but in the post credits, it's him saying, "Fine, I'll do it myself." Which is quite interesting. Obviously, the post credits in Marvel films are so good, and that's such a good. I mean, maybe not USP for the films, but they became associated with those post credit scenes. Like you stayed behind to watch, like you know there's something that's going to happen, and the fact that they use those a lot more than the films sometimes to make the plot lines coherent between films, I thought was a really sort of effective use.
It was cool.
For sure.
Full circle. Come back to that brilliant word, cool.
That's just the whole thing.
It is
the whole
cool.
way.
It is cool.
And mate, sometimes that's what it. We talked about this before. Like there's stuff to really go into about what's interesting about it, but at the end of the day, it's very personal. And this is the thing I think about superheroes, as you said. Like there's just something very appealing to a lot of people about the way these characters are crafted with their personalities and their superpowers, and it just grips people, and it makes life exciting. And it's a bit of escapism, and sometimes there's no more words other than cool.
None needed. It is cool. Good pick though. I like the feature of like a real spectacle of a film.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's something that's going to be remembered for years. Just production value and everything's just crazy.
Yeah, they're very much part of the zeitgeist. I need to go grab my second Heineken Zero of the evening.
Could you get my frosty?
I know.
Bravo.
It's time to go.
It's time.
Full Metal Jacket on this bitch.
Wait, what number are we up to? That was 8.
That was 8.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. So Frosty comes in at 7.
We've got more.
Oh no, that was not.
To go over.
Oh, that was 8. Yeah,
That was 8.
I was looking at my other list.
We got time to go.
So I don't
top up on the the Frosty Jacks.
Yeah, I'm very excited to get into the nitty gritty of it.
I'm excited to see what comes up further down the line because it's a good an interesting
broad
mix of
range.
Yeah. Broad range, all sort of more in the serious vein, but in very different genres of film.
Yeah, no.
Which is good. It's good to get a mix. Like so, me and Josh did our top 10s on this, and there's such a broad mix of films between people. Between person. So it's interesting hearing someone else's take on it because films are such a personal thing, and they affect every individual so differently. But it's also good to bring up films like, so for example, a film like this wasn't in my top 10, but like I can see why it would be in someone's top 10 films or favourite films at least.
Yeah. Because today I was looking at the top 100 films of all time, and it's not a major. It's not one of those that really affect your mind.
No,
it's not deep.
But it's good to be aware of it.
But it's good just to appreciate. I just appreciate almost what it stands for, and just the cinematography of the whole thing is just great.
Oh, here he is.
Mate,
look at it.
You can almost hear the aura of it through the microphone. Yeah. I know you can't see it, but you can hear
some heavenly strings.
It just sounds like second year. I'm not sure I want to delve into that again.
Oh, you do, Jake. Who are you kidding?
20 to 11 on a Sunday night.
Oh, who are you kidding?
But
it's always Frosty.
So you made the decision, mate. You got to live with it.
And there it is.
Laptop just stops working.
It's too cold.
Anyway.
Frosted
tips.
So,
number 7. So, number 7. Where are we going next?
We're going to go down a completely different route now.
Okay, I like that.
We're doing a full circle of all the genres.
I like a switch.
So we're going to go to Hot Fuzz now.
Okay,
great.
A film that's had a shout out on the podcast before. I like that.
It was in my top 5 comedies. But
like
one we definitely need to go back in, especially with a fresh face.
We might have to get some clips. I wouldn't mind watching a Hot Fuzz clip. But please,
I wouldn't mind seeing some clips.
What do you like?
But I mean, what's not to like really? Let's be real.
And there you go.
For starters, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost films.
One sip of the Frosty Jacks just off.
They're always great English comedies, right? And I love the fact that they're so British and like everything's relatable, especially in Hot Fuzz, like Summerfield, like all like the village stereotypes. We've all seen that in real life.
Of course.
And it's not like an American comedy where it's kind of you can laugh but you can't relate.
Yeah.
And like they're just sort of two proper like British gems, really, aren't they, in the comedy world? Just as personalities.
They're a great duo. They are a great duo.
It's just the duo that makes it, right? Obviously, and
what would you say makes this one stand out? I mean, obviously, I don't know if you've got any others in the list, but over Shaun of the Dead, say, which is their other. So, and I'd agree with you personally. Out of their films, this is my favourite as well. But Shaun of the Dead is also a great film.
So you've got Shaun of the Dead and World's End. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Not
quite. It's not bad, but
World's
not quite
End is like third out of the three, right?
Paul as well.
Yeah.
Outside of the
outside
of the trilogy.
Paul is one of my favourites, but not top 10 worthy, of course.
Number 1 film.
Yeah. But
objectively.
I didn't realise it was Seth Rogen doing Paul's voice. For years.
I wouldn't have clocked the first time. The Swan. I love
the Swan. And
the scenes with Stephen Merchant and the Swan is so funny. Is it Stephen Merchant?
Yeah, it is Stephen Merchant.
Yeah.
Again, but it really goes through a lot of great British comedic actors.
Yeah, exactly.
Great cast.
And for me as well, like normally with these types of films, they're sort of like an hour and 15, hour and a half. But this is a good 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I feel like I get enough of what I want, you know. If I want to go and watch it to relax or like to have a cheap laugh, like I feel like I've definitely got that after 2 hours. It's a nice length.
But then also it's a seriously good plot and an engrossing sort of story and a good action film as well. You've got those. I think this probably came up when we were discussing it before, but you can watch it in both those ways and indeed both of them at the same time and enjoy it for both the reasons.
The plot's actually
it's pretty intense. It's pretty intense at a lot of points. Yeah.
My main reason for it being in my top 5 comedies, and quite significantly so, was the fact that it was such a unique story within a comedic setting. The whole kind of, like you said, just kind of celebrating village life, but also just really twisting this whole, like it's such an ironic premise. This London bad guy, like action hero, is in this West Country village, and there's just so much comedy just stems from that little premise. But then the whole cult side of it is just so.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Shaun the Dead. The reason I put this over to Shaun the Dead was Shaun the Dead is great, but it's very kind of bread and butter plot. This is great, but it's also a great, unique bit of storytelling.
Yeah.
I'd say it gives me. The storyline gives me the sort of vibe where, you know, you'll be driving through a village with your family or whatever when you're sort of like 8 or 9, and you see the guy in the long coat walking down the high street, and you're like, oh, imagine if he did have a shotgun.
That's brilliant.
As a child, you always think like, oh, imagine what they're doing in there, or imagine if they did this.
Well,
that's a great.
And they brought it to life.
It's great to go back to great to go back to films. This podcast could go on forever. Basically, is what we get from that.
Longevity. No, that is really interesting.
Right, we got to get to some big questions, mate. First of all, favourite lines. If you could pick, it's tough. And you've got to then do the impression. That's great. You do the impression, then we'll watch it. You can't say it without doing the impression. You have to do the impression.
I'm awful at accents, so I always do like Scottish or Irish by accident.
We've had some disastrous accents on this podcast from myself and Jevons both.
Shall I give you the character first, or should I just go straight in for it?
I think just go in with the quote, whatever you want, and then.
Okay. So for me, it's got. This is so cringy.
No, not at all.
It's probably got to be.
No shame.
Oh, I love a bit of girl on girl.
When the hell's that?
You know the police.
Jake watched the wrong movie.
You know the police
he
woman.
Watched the wrong movie.
You know the police woman, right? You know she's a bit like.
That's class.
We'll pull that up, Jamie. We'll find it.
It's such an insignificant piece of the film.
No. But that's the person. That's
how well crafted it is that you can really just everybody finds their own little bits.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so rewatchable as well.
Hot Fuzz.
Girl on girl. It's not going to be in my search history.
Or the Andes.
Andes.
You know what we call them, the Andes? Well, because of the mountains.
Oh, it's Olivia Colman.
Yeah.
I completely forgot Olivia Colman was in this.
I always forget.
From Peep Show.
They really do have
Peep Show, Hot Fuzz, and then The Crown.
Broadchurch.
Imagine, and Broadchurch.
Yeah. That guy.
She's only a policewoman. She's not a policewoman. She is. I've seen her, bro. She's a police officer. Being a woman has nothing to do with it.
Oh, I don't know. It comes in handy every so often. I could have given you the tour. I've been around the station a few times.
And
Oh my goodness.
Must admit the sign at some speed. Put the old top off.
I've had my top off on this leg, boy.
Yeah, all the tats.
I don't remember these lines.
You should meet right at that.
I don't quite like a little midnight gobble.
What? I don't remember any of these lines. It's pretty violent as well.
It is.
There's a lot of really gruesome bits.
Nothing like a bit of girl on girl.
There it is.
The reactions of everybody.
Yeah.
It's so psychopathic, everybody's reaction.
It's great. And like her whole like little part of the film is so like watching all those clips there, you're sort of like, I don't remember that.
Yeah, but she's just
so,
like pops in. With,
I need to rewatch that soon. Actually,
2007.
My favourite is the everybody and their mums packing around here. That was alright, I think.
Not bad. Could be worse. James did quite a good impression when he was.
Of course he did. A cheeky bastard.
I just can't do impressions. Like it's just.
Yeah.
No, I'm not great.
Probably have Oliver Light.
Yeah, Ollie Light does
pretty good.
Phenomenal impressions.
Could you pick between Simon and Neg? In this film in particular, not in general, of course. Their dynamics pretty good. The whole like good cop and like really lazy son of the chief or whatever.
I'm gonna have to go with Simon Pegg. I'm gonna have to.
Why?
Just because I don't know. Nick Frost hasn't really. His character is like okay, and like it does well as like a pairing, but
sorry, the moment we paused on is just one of the policemen just laughing with their mouth open.
Oh goodness.
But like I feel like he's got a bit of an annoying character. It's just a bit like,
Yeah.
can he not just like get up and do something?
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, I'd say.
What Nick
so.
Frost character is that?
Yeah.
He's. I find in Shaun of the Dead as well, his character's not that likable a lot of times too.
Well, even in Paul, it's such a.
I guess that's kind of the role he plays.
It's the duo, right?
But by the end, you do end up obviously you do end up liking him, and he has got good in him. But he's very much there to play the role. Where Simon Pegg's character is sort of not necessarily dragging him along in the world, but he's trying to get somewhere and make something a bit
exactly
more,
what I'm trying to get at. Yeah.
But it's important to have that dynamic. You need the balance of the two characters, and that's what makes good.
He does it well. Yeah,
absolutely. It's a good. I remember, and I probably mentioned this last time, but this was one of the first films that I remember watching that I was allowed to watch that was quote unquote adult. Like I was allowed to watch it like an older film.
Yeah.
Because it is pretty violent and gruesome at parts.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the part where like the church spire.
The spire going
do you remember that? Yeah.
Tim Messenger's head.
Yeah, and the one where he falls on the miniature village. That's pretty gross.
And also all of their names, all of their surnames reflects what they do as their profession.
Really?
So you got
Nicholas Angel.
So
he's the good cop.
Yeah, I never
like
thought
Guardian
Angel
like
at police.
Never thought about that.
And then you got Tim Messenger. He's in charge of the newspaper, which is cool.
It's a well-crafted film.
Merchant. He's the guy that owns the supermarket, right?
I can't remember what. I just remember his character being really funny. I can't remember what he does.
That's like so the actor's name.
So
I don't know.
The character's second name reflects their profession.
Yeah.
Which is quite a cool thing. Because again, it's that whole like village stereotype thing.
That
we all know.
It does the satire well.
Yeah.
Like even in the clips we're watching then, just sort of satirising.
Yeah, like the West Country Village
really well.
Is such an, as you said, such an English like little and like something is just so far removed from Hollywood. And I guess that's another part of the comedy to have. There's just so many layers of irony here, but like to have that like English countryside have all this Hollywood action, like and the action scenes are filmed quite well. A lot of cuts in between, making it quite
It's a blockbuster, but in the West Country,
in Dorset,
in the Cotswolds,
which is part of the ridiculous.
And it's just funny in itself.
Yeah, there's the runtime, good 2 hours, which is quite lengthy for a comedy.
Yeah,
so you're right
for sort of like a bit of a
proper film out of it.
Yeah,
I think that's a really good pick actually.
Yeah, it's filled to the brim with jokes. Shame, don't really get it referenced as much these days. I've noticed. I remember when I was younger, it got referenced quite a bit more. But,
I don't know. I seem to do it quite a bit, just like around the house and stuff. It's quite funny.
Well, I need more of them.
Yeah.
Bring that to my life.
Should I just go around saying tits?
Well, you do enough of that already, Jack. And you've already gone to enough trouble for that recently, so we...
here he goes again. He's trying to cancel you again. You
can't.
Please. No one's safe.
I will get my lawyer involved. Like, stop this.
I am your lawyer.
Ben Townsend walks through the door, mate, with a briefcase.
Alright, guys.
You're in trouble, Jevons.
But yeah, cracking film.
Yeah,
just and actually, when I was looking at the top 100 films of all time today, it wasn't like an official ranking or anything, but that was like up there.
Really?
Yeah,
it should be.
Interesting.
So was Shaun of the Dead actually.
But I guess that's acknowledging that within. Not even necessarily with it, like it's a good film as a comedy, but just a good film.
Yeah,
as well.
Like you said, there's multiple ways it can be enjoyed.
Yeah, for sure.
And also that screen grab we're looking at the moment.
Potential thumbnail material.
Very much captures the energy and spirit of Jake Pinnell.
Do you know? I'll take that. I will take that.
The tash as well.
I was gonna say
the
tash.
Yeah.
It looks like he's wearing dentures though. I don't look like his actual teeth. They look very.
I thought you always were wearing dentures.
I was gonna say something really bad then, but I can't. No, don't.
He stops himself.
Yeah, I'll stop myself.
But probably for the best.
See, I usually don't.
That's the
it's
issue.
More because I don't want people to think that I'm weird.
Oh man,
we crossed that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're fucking weird.
The Aviators.
Yeah, but it's just.
Sorry, can I just say something to apologise a little bit? The past 5 minutes, I have been quite rude to you, Jake, and I'd like to retract a lot of what I said.
It's fine, because you're just showing your true colours, really, aren't you? So.
Yeah, I am.
Just never thought it's serious falling out.
Yeah,
fists are going to be thrown, mate. Listen, you don't want to mess with this man after a can of frosty.
Yeah, I know.
I was going to say this is
I'll warn you
rocket
now.
fuel.
Literally. Anyway, yeah, good pick, mate. Good
Okay,
pick.
cool.
At number 7.
Right.
Move on to 6.
So,
Let's see.
6.
I just have the thing. This is what's good about the list is I didn't think I'd be able to predict it at all, and I haven't been able to. And now I just have no idea where you're going to go next. So it's really exciting. Anticipating.
It's great that top 10 really kind of covers a lot of different boundaries of what films can be. The different genres, obviously.
Yeah.
And you're doing great. You're doing great.
You're doing great.
So,
doing great.
number 6 is it now? Number 6.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, 6.
Number 6 is the Social Network.
Oh, I
Great
like that
film.
pick. I used to love that film.
Yeah.
And it dropped a bit out of favour, but I still really like it. So I'd be interested to see why you like it, because I used to love that film.
Jake just wants the hair.
The marks
I can have the hair, man. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, for me, the film, for starters, like the fact that I know like some of the details are embellished a little bit and modified.
It's a film though, isn't it?
Yeah, but like the core
Podcast then.
Thank you very much.
the core like storyline of like how it actually. I didn't know anything about how Facebook was founded before watching the film.
No, yeah.
I think it did a great job of like, portraying each like player involved in a certain way. Some people will dispute how accurate it is because it's such like a contentious issue, really.
Yeah.
But like, but even that in itself, discovering how contentious it is about who created it, is also very captivating.
Yeah. No, for sure. Because you go into it if you think you're going to be watching a film about the creation of Facebook. I don't know if it's the same for you, but when I went into it, I was very much expecting to just see this rags to riches story where a kid who's very clever makes this platform that just takes off, and it's just about him going from of being a university student with not that money to being like this multi millionaire. And I wasn't expecting, like you say, any of the legal complications or anything that goes into it, and actually how you end up like he's not a very likable protagonist.
No, well that's the thing.
all.
By the end of it, you're like, what wanker, basically.
Yeah,
and everyone thinks that,
which is a really interesting development of the character.
It is because but even at the start, you kind of.
The signs are there.
You go into it thinking, oh, Mark Zuckerberg, like he's a bit of a meme. Everyone sort of likes him because he made Facebook.
Yeah.
And then at the start, I don't know how well you remember it, but like the opening scene where he ends up breaking up with his girlfriend and like he does that initial chat room thing. Yeah. That's pretty toxic.
Yeah. He doesn't handle the breakup well.
No, and that sort of like shows that real like weird side to him.
Yeah. But it also shows other elements of his character. It shows how focused and driven he is on the sort of.
For sure.
The what's the word, like the academic kind of, but more the this side of him, the creation of the social network, and that's very much what he wants to focus on.
Yeah, very driven.
Yeah, obsessive almost.
Yeah, exactly. Like almost like sociopathic. Like, and that's
exactly.
That's what you got to be
that
such a successful
to come
person.
up with an idea like that. Yeah. But there's obviously Justin Timberlake makes the appearance.
Yeah,
he's the Napster. Isn't he the founder of Napster?
He is Napster.
I had no idea Napster was involved.
What else did he do? A couple of things, like some music stuff. Wasn't music Napster?
Napster's the music platform thing. Yeah. The Twins, they're quite good antagonists. The guys who row. The Winklevoss. Is that
the Winklevoss? And they won a medal at Beijing.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh,
as the pair of them. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Which again is cool.
Is the film not kind of a lot of it's told through that courtroom, and you kind of revisit the events through the courtroom?
It goes back and forth quite a lot between it, but it's not. I wouldn't say that dominates the film.
The second half, or like the final third, maybe.
Yeah, but you're right. You're right in saying it. You're right in saying it sort of jumps back and forth.
That really from my memory, I did actually rewatch it not that long ago because it's an older film now.
Yeah.
How did it hold up? Because I haven't rewatched it in ages.
I really enjoyed it.
I've seen it a lot of times, but all quite a while ago. I haven't seen it in a while, basically.
Because it was odd that I'd gotten interested in startups just a little while ago. Then I rewatched
Entrepreneur Jeeves.
I've actually got a new app. I'm just releasing everybody. I don't. And like you guys definitely have given it justice, but it is. Startup culture is very much an important part of the world we live in today. Today.
Cancelled. Cancelled again. No, I'm joking. Of course, no, I know.
Slip of the tongue.
No, I'm joking. Continue.
But we can't joke about these things.
Oh mate, please carry on.
No one's making a joke. It's just you.
No, come on.
I am the joke. Oh god, what was my point? But yeah, you know, even more so since the film's been released, social media has obviously become a very like era-defining thing about our generation and generations below us, and just how life is lived and experienced. And to tell the story of how that became a thing, I think that adds even more weight to it now, especially with all the you know, a lot of people are becoming a bit more conscious of like the darker sides, you know, the political stuff that happens with Facebook, and also just the kind of mental health side of like the endless scrolling and stuff like that.
Digital footprint as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's very much as time's gone on, the film's kind of become more important as that origin story of, you know, the thing that very much defines the world, the new modern world we live in today. But also, like you mentioned, the psychopathic elements of it, they played like really well. Just you know, it's a different world as soon as Mark Zuckerberg, Jesse, just kind of enters this like this world of successful people. Just like the conversations are different. He just drops friends. And Andrew Garfield in it is great as the
what's his character called? Eduardo or
Eduardo.
It's something, anyway. It's
something. Yeah.
But he's very much the more likable one of the pair,
and which is very much needed.
Yeah, and you almost see. Obviously, he ends up being successful in like the lawsuit side of things, but you see, because he's that more likable moral character, he is the loser initially. Like, it almost seems like he's not as cut out for that kind of world, because you've kind of got to be a bit more.
Really?
Yeah. Ultimately, by the end he is, because no one remembers his name in association with Facebook.
Yeah.
And you can see how figures like that, who are more moral and are not cut out for that sort of cutthroat. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
And it's and that's another. It's interesting that the more likable character isn't the immediate protagonist.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Mark Zuckerberg in particular these days has definitely been under a lot of fire just because of how kind of inhuman he is. There's a clip,
exactly. Yeah.
There's a clip I kind of want to show you that I found recently, which is called on YouTube, called Mark Zuckerberg Eats Toast.
Oh, what? It's with a C, isn't it? Or is it with a K?
I don't know.
No, I think you're right.
You're calm.
The search results came up with
the Zuck.
Oh yeah, no, it's with a K. You're right. Was that it?
Yeah, he's a robot basically.
Right.
Yeah.
I laughed at that a lot more than you guys did when I first watched that. That's kind of depressing.
It's okay, don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
But yeah, as we've all said, I think it's quite an important film, and it is thoroughly entertaining, I thought. What about you, Jake?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I didn't realise that Facebook came from such like an elitist place.
Yeah,
Harvard.
Harvard.
Harvard, and I kind of got the impression, I don't know why, but like you said earlier, Jack, like rags to riches kind of thing.
Yeah, I say rags to riches. It's not really.
Yeah,
he's at Harvard,
I thought it was going to be a bloke who was literally sat in his room and like just decided to do it, and he was like at high school or whatever. But no, like he was at Harvard already. Yeah. He only was able to do it because of Eduardo's massive backing from his dad's oil ventures and like how much he'd like invested in stuff.
Yeah, and obviously he is a vastly intelligent person, but you can't do it without that kind of financial
of course, and that's the thing.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and like, it's crazy how it came from such like an elitist place, especially at that time.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Or early 2000s, and then became such a big thing for the people, but is now sort of going back in a different direction.
Yeah. It's good because it's obviously Facebook's definitely less prominent now than it was back in like when I first watched the film. I was using Facebook a lot more than I do now, for example. But I mean, obviously Facebook owns Instagram,
which is
so it's still
one of the biggest
still
ones.
very much prominent. But it's interesting watching.
Give Jake another follow.
Drop the app.
Yes, it's at Jakey Pinnell with 3 L's. Thanks.
It's good at watching the backstory of something which at that point I was using like daily. And just had you just take it for granted. You just use it without thinking.
It was interesting to see like where it came from.
Yeah, exactly.
And I didn't realise how controversial it was.
Yeah, for sure.
And I do think the performances are great as well. Just Jesse does nail it.
Yeah, he does the character.
Yeah,
very well.
great entry. A film we haven't actually come across.
No, not at all.
Discussion
not
was,
at all.
Yeah.
So it's good to get a mix of all sorts of different ones. But yeah, strong again, mate.
Okay, right.
On to the next. Right, we're getting into the top 5 now.
On to number 5 now.
The meat of the discussion.
I don't know whether this should be higher, but we're going to stick with it here. So it's a new film that came out maybe 8 months ago, 6 months ago. So you might have seen it, you might not have. It's on Amazon, and it's called The Gentleman.
Oh, I've been recommended this by my brothers, but I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
I absolutely love it.
The score, is it Scorsese or was that
Guy Ritchie?
Was that the
Guy
Irishman?
Ritchie,
Scorsese.
Yeah.
This is the guy who did Snatch, which is another.
Snatch, great film.
And it is fantastic.
Yeah, I have been recommended.
Oh, mate, if you've not seen it,
no, I'll get it. I have been meaning to watch it.
Like, it is absolutely mental.
Hasn't it got Hugh Grant in it? Am I thinking of the right one?
It's
McConaughey's in it.
McConaughey, it's got so many good actors.
Hugh Grant's character is actually such a kind of curveball to what he usually plays.
Really?
He plays a seat.
Not like the Prime Minister in not About Time. What's it called? Love Actually.
So that's picture that compared to this man here, who's a fat, sleazy Daily Mail journalist.
Yeah, a little bit of a camp vibe as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, really.
But his character is amazing. And actually, I was reading a few articles about the film after I watched it. And apparently, Guy Ritchie and McConaughey went out shopping in Oxford Street.
Yeah.
For McConaughey's character's wardrobe rather than a stylist doing it. Because he wanted McConaughey to like really like embrace the character and
that's
like
cool.
have a personal touch on like the wardrobe. And honestly, like the aesthetic, the styling, everything in this film is just done perfectly.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it is. Again, you know, like you mentioned with Avengers, like it's hard to kind of get into the but I think we've been quite good so far and get into like a lot of the kind of interesting social things behind these films. But this is one of those things where it's just so perfect, absolutely perfect. And bit of a Joe Rogan reference.
And, mate, sorry to diverge, but the clip from the recent UFC I've seen so many times on my timeline today. His reaction to the knockout is hilarious.
Yeah,
have you seen it?
No,
mate,
I don't watch Joe Rogan or UFC.
Doesn't matter, but just watch this reaction is so funny.
I know Mr. Karuski.
Is it 261?
261, yeah. But if you just YouTube it, mate, there's so many articles about it. If you go and do it on YouTube, like actually search.
It's on Twitter, surely.
For one, that's a still from it, but I just YouTube it, mate. Or is it loading on Instagram? Slowly. Mate, this clip is so funny. Oh, here we go. Oh no, this isn't that. Just YouTube it. There we go. That would be it. Oh, it's a GIF.
Oh.
It's so irrelevant to what we're talking about. Mate, it was loaded. With audio.
A winky face.
Mate, it deserves a winky face. There we go. Come on. Show me the money.
Yeah.
Full screen it. You need to see it. Oh, that's good quality. The guy in the middle. His face. It's not the best quality, but he just loses his mind.
He actually looks like an old man kind of lost.
The screen grabs. Anyway,
Whites of his eyes.
Anyway. Back to this.
In the words of Joe Rogan, absolutely perfect. As you said, like that's a great little detail about the shopping stuff, because I do think Guy Ritchie, there's an energy about his films that is unmatched.
Snatch is great,
but I don't. And this is the thing, like directing's might be going into it a lot more in the next episode. But the thing about directing I never really got until I read up a bit more about it is a lot of it's about the relationships they build with the actors and what they get out of the actors. And so I used to just think it was mainly like cinematography and the kind of Nolan-esque view of what directors But I'd like to bet that Guy Ritchie is pretty good. I mean, that little detail,
you can if he's taking his lead actor to go shopping for his wardrobe,
you can kind of tell because he has an incredible cast in this film. But it's almost like he squeezed every creative juice out of them, and they're given their own environment to just absolutely excel in.
There's so much showmanship in this.
Right.
Yeah,
everything's like to the max, to 100%.
Yeah.
There's no like expense spared, and you can tell.
Yeah.
Like, even the cars in it, like everything about it.
Colin Farrell's character, the coach, is so good.
Because Bugsy Malone's in it, isn't he? Bugsy Malone has a pretty big part in this film.
Is he good in it?
I'd say he's good.
He's quite a cool guy, isn't he? I can imagine him being
it's really
pretty,
cool.
I can imagine him being pretty like badass.
It's basically a delving into like the London crime scene, but just all these weird, in classic Guy Ritchie fashion, weird little like connections and characters with their own motives, trying to get their own little like, you know, they've each got their own motives, but they need each other, and it's this little game they're all playing together.
Yeah.
It summarises like how they're all sort of piling on top of each other, trying to get to the top.
Okay,
yeah,
but ultimately,
that's a great way of saying it.
They all just end up stabbing each other in the back.
Oh wow, that does sound really interesting.
Great little look at it's a great little look at the crime world like that. Like a lot of mafia films are very kind of romantic about it, and this obviously has that element, but it's comical as well.
Yeah, this is pretty gruesome, isn't it?
Yeah. But there's so many ways with the characters. Each character is so individual and has their own little moral compass in this world of crime.
Right.
That's why I really like. The coach is great for that. Matthew McConaughey is great for that, and of course,
who plays Raymond? Yeah,
I don't know his name actually.
He's fantastic. Yeah.
Let's go with that. But and also like Hugh Grant, as we mentioned, just like everybody's got their own little like. You know, it's like the journalist is almost portrayed as like worse than the criminals. Because the criminals have their own little like codes that they're working with. Yeah. It's subtle. It's not like, you know, kind of the parlay code in Pirates of the Caribbean, for example. But all these great little dimensions and details to it just really bring it alive and make it a very vibrant film.
Vibrant is a great way to describe it.
Is it paced in a way similar to like Snatch, that kind of Guy Ritchie action-packed cut. Gordon Ramsay cooking, if you will.
Parsley.
in.
And there's quite a lot of like voiceovers to it as well. Like there's a lot of, and the way that it's delivered to you.
Yeah. What, like a narrator style?
Okay, so like a lot of it's narrated.
Who narrates, or does it jump between characters?
It's normally Matthew, right?
Right.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Hugh Grant sometimes as well, because they're trying to tell a story. The whole thing's a story.
So the journalist is.
So he's trying to get the story.
That's cool. That's cool.
Oh my god, we didn't say this yet, did we? Yeah.
No, yeah.
That's cool.
That it's a really great format for it, and obviously with Hugh Grant playing this like Daily Mail
trying to get the story. Does he just get like way over his head or something?
Can I just give you the download on it really quickly?
Yeah, please do.
So basically, like, it starts off with Guy Ritchie coming in and speaking to this guy Raymond, and then he's trying to.
Guy Ritchie, the
Matthew McConaughey.
No.
Is it the director?
Hugh Grant, sorry. Hugh Grant.
That would be cool if the director just.
And so basically, like the Daily Mail guy, is trying to squeeze a story out of one of the mobsters,
right?
And basically, like, as he's trying to squeeze it out of him and to get the mobster's like turn of events, him.
Yeah.
It's sort of like then, as the guy's like implying the story would go, that's how the film like carries on.
Cool.
So as he's explaining it in the way that he thinks it happened to the guy who he's trying to ask it about, that's how the film plays out, kind of thing.
So is the narrative framing of it that it's him retelling the story?
Kind of, yeah. Would you say that's a good way of describing it?
Or is it going on? Is it going on in present time?
The thing Jake was getting at as well is the fact that like because you're kind of in Hugh Grant's perspective, like parts of the story get fit, like you see the action played out, but it's not how it actually played out. It's how he's
telling it.
Yeah,
so
how
you see multiple accounts of how it happened.
Kind of, yeah, but it's not in a classic Guy Ritchie fashion. It's not trying to get at it's very comically done.
No,
so
it'd be like, imagine.
And then he did that, and it like plays
and then
out.
It'll show the but actually,
but like
exactly that. Yeah.
But the thing is, it's done with because that could be such a cheesy little plot. Like
but when done well,
it's done a couple of times.
Yeah.
What's the phrase?
Cliche.
Cliche, yeah. Just little mechanism, little device, like a toy. But it's not done like that. It's done very subtly with a lot of kind of craft, and and then like it does come to the present time, and then all the stuff that's been told gets like merged within that present story.
Right.
He gets involved, and it's very interwoven. So the narrative structure is unique.
Right.
That's a great point, Jake. So
yeah, I'll have to give that.
Honestly, it's just
give that a little view.
One of the that's a class film.
You know, sometimes you're in that mood for a movie that you just want to be like. Escape to another world, just be entertained by all the big
give
names.
Me action, give me comedy.
It's like London Gangster, and it's like cool. and Matthew McConaughey's accent is
British
great. They're doing Cockney accents.
So this is like there's different factions as well. That's really cool. So there's always moving parts to it. I'm not gonna lie.
That looks kind of like a, like the scenes in Anchorman where they got the different gangs. They all roll out in a different
But you know what? Like, I'm not gonna lie. I think like Snatch is a class movie.
Yeah.
And
I've seen Snatch.
I think you love it as well.
If you like, I haven't seen The Gentleman, but if you like Guy Ritchie, then Snatch is.
I think it's even tops it.
Really?
Bit, personally, yeah.
Snatch. If you like that accent, Snatch has a Brad Pitt doing this amazing accent.
Yeah.
So funny.
Like a London gangster.
No, he does an Irish accent.
Traveller.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's so cool. He plays such a funny character. Yeah, that's a really good film. I actually only saw that for the first time, like it was in 2020, I think, so fairly recently, but I really enjoyed it. Just action packed, but with comic relief. So it sounds quite similar in a lot of ways to.
It's a great mention, Jake. Great mention.
Yeah,
but yeah, this seemingly came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah,
there was no sort of like advertising, and this for me is like a blockbuster movie.
Was it straight to Amazon or something?
Yeah, because it was during lockdown.
Wow.
It was actually.
Yeah, it was like September, October of lockdown.
Yeah, I'll have to give it a watch because my brother's recommended it to me. So
yeah,
you love the
McConaughey, the swagger.
I think you might like. You might like. Can you do that for the mic one more time, a bit closer?
All right.
Do you do any any of that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, mate. Moving on swiftly. We're getting closer and closer to the video.
We are. So
we've gone some interesting places.
Whilst we're getting juicy with it.
Numero 4, as I say in Italian.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got Black Panther now. Going back to the Marvel universe.
Interesting.
This is actually a Marvel one that I haven't seen all the way through. I've definitely seen bits of it, I'm sure, but I haven't seen the film as a whole. So I'll be interested to hear the thoughts.
Yeah, first of all,
Chadwick Boseman,
rip my guy. Really quite sad actually.
Yeah,
mate. So,
but I watched this maybe a month or two ago, and. Yeah, I hadn't, like you say, I hadn't seen it. I didn't really fuck with this part of the Marvel universe.
Right.
But yeah, I gave it a go, and honestly, better than End Game and Infinity War for me, hands down.
Right.
Interesting.
The way it's done is absolutely mental.
In what ways?
Just
the writing, the
first
characters.
Of all, no. So I'm always big on the aesthetics and what you can visually see.
Well, definitely,
and
feast for the eyes.
Yeah. I love a feast for the eyes, if you will, and
I will
like Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, like Hot Fuzz. Yeah, and
that cop, the screen grabber, that cop, feast for the eyes, mate.
And it's just I don't know that. Wakanda, where they're from, is just the coolest place ever.
Should we look for some movie poster up, which is very artfully done, I'd like to say. But I do think the whole futuristic aspect is a great and
the way
I love his suit.
Setting.
It's so sick.
Yeah, and
the Black Panther suit is so cool.
I didn't realise that they aligned this sort of storytelling, timeline alongside modern day. So it's supposed to be that they acknowledge that they're part of the modern world. That they're hidden secret.
Right.
Yeah.
And the way that all the stuff about vibranium, and I don't know how much you know about it. But
I think I know that through Avengers.
Yeah, so you know Captain America's shield is
made of vibranium.
And basically their whole economy is vibranium. That's why it's so advanced.
Is Wakanda situated somewhere in?
It's in Africa.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so it's within the actual.
So I think it's supposed to be central. I think like Congo area.
Right.
Kind of
okay.
thing.
Cool.
But they acknowledge that they're hidden and they hide themselves because they're if everyone gets hold of the vibranium, then it'll be the end of the world kind of thing.
And their tribe and culture, I guess.
Yeah, and their tribe and culture, exactly. But yeah, the whole futuristic part of it, it's almost like utopian, I guess.
Yeah. Definitely.
And then just the visuals and the sort of combat scenes are great.
Yeah.
In my head, I really have the waterfall fight scene.
Exactly, that's so. It's got such an atmosphere to it.
I do think it's, as you've mentioned, it's a great celebration of African culture. Something which a lot of Hollywood stuff definitely misses out on.
Yeah.
Especially in the superhero world, and it's great that they really just, they really gave it the kind of care and attention it needed.
They gave it the time to develop into what it should have been.
Yeah.
Soundtrack. Great soundtrack.
Crazy.
Great soundtrack.
Yeah.
The villain's really good. Obviously coming from a position of someone who hasn't seen it as well, just how the villain looks, I think he looks so sick. It's Michael B. Jordan, isn't it? Is the villain?
So
is that right?
That's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, he's great because again, he's as we were saying in End Game, with Thor kind of having like a kind of a good motive to his actions.
Yeah.
He's also kind of got a reason for his actions. I won't tell you because I think you should probably watch it. But
with Thanos.
Sorry, Thanos. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I know. No, not so I know.
But so with Thanos, but yeah, like he's also got a part to his motive that you can kind of relate to and you kind of sympathise with.
It is always an interesting device where they have a villain with a somewhat, quote unquote, moral motive.
I mean, this one's definitely a moral motive,
right?
Like,
this
is
so I don't know.
Hands down, I won't say.
No, not at all. Because I do want to watch.
Kind of gets to that kind of the ends justify the means kind of thing.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you think.
Yeah,
it's a great. We've got a little image up here of the main protagonist, the Black Panther versus this antagonist, and I do think there's a great little contrast because he's this prince character and his suit, like we mentioned, is very sleek. He's very majestic and royal within this African world. But the bad guy's a great contrast to it, a bit more rugged,
more modern as well. You can tell by just like his like aesthetic.
Yeah, his hairstyle. I really like the ruggedness of
the
hairstyle's
cool. Yeah.
And there's just this kind of brute force to it, which opposes the kind of grace. Black Panther, very feline, graceful, elegant, and kind of there's dexterity to his abilities and everything. But this bad guy is very much brute force.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great Like Batman v Joker, for example. It's a great, like, that kind of contrast between the main two figures is always really important in a superhero movie.
That's a great point, actually. Yeah.
Just came up with that, actually.
Just the brute force of him turns that whole world upside down, and it's been that way for so long.
Yeah.
Right.
I need to rewatch it at some point, actually.
Well, there's a pretty that's
the waterfall fight scene we were talking about.
It does look cool.
It's very tribal.
That forms a pretty pivotal part of. Is it End Game or Infinity War? There's a big battle scene within that setting, isn't there? In one of the films where they.
It's End Game, I think. Or a bit Fortnite now. Yeah. Nice. You're a sellout. Given your promotion.
Yeah, you were criticising.
And now to our sponsors.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I kind of kill that flow?
So yeah, definitely for me, a great addition to the.
I do like how you mentioned the aesthetic, because that's obviously something me and Jack love.
I do love an aesthetic,
particularly with like Marvel films, because with Endgame, I guess it's a bit harder to pin down.
It's more films with individual characters, like they have.
Endgame's very much a collage of all this MCU stuff that's been built up, but within each thing, within each world, there's.
Pardon me.
That was the Honey Zero talking. There's definitely like a lot of. I don't know what it. I'm trying to look at this poster here, but it's just. I do think that the futuristic Africa is obviously something that is quite far from where we are in the current world, and it's such a beautiful image to like aspire to. And again, I know I've mentioned this like 3 times already, but I just do think it's a strong point of it. Just celebrating the tribal part of that culture alongside the kind of modern. It's a really beautiful thing to aspire to, and kind of live in that world with the hope of making it possible.
Because in their cities they had the massive skyscrapers and the floating cars, whatever, but then they still had their like traditional dress and all like the vibrant things that you'd expect from like tribal
with
Africa.
Their roots.
Yeah. No, it's really cool.
The aesthetic's an interesting point. How like when you get the culmination of it all in the Avengers films, but when you delve into like an individual film of one of the superheroes, you get the individual aesthetic of that world. Black Panther's a great example of that for sure. Like other what's another one? Doctor Strange, for example. Like the Doctor Strange aesthetic's really cool.
The kind of monastic.
Yeah, exactly. And then in terms of his powers and stuff, like as he's being taught, all that kind of stuff is really cool too.
They've definitely got the CGI game in terms of it.
This is crazy.
But I mean, all that within the modern Marvel films, it's all pretty good. Though.
Yeah.
I'd say we haven't touched on the fact that it's the only black superhero film.
That's why it was so
monumental. But like for what that represents, like beyond the whole like the roots part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a standalone piece that could so well have been, there just as a token. But it was
done well.
Almost for me like one of the best produced. Marvel films,
which is
great.
It's a very delicate object to be handled.
It gave it such like poetic justice. It was great.
Yeah,
and I was happy to see it like do so well.
Yeah, of course.
Poetic justice is
great.
Brilliant, right?
Very good.
Number 3 is
number 3. Okay,
we're getting up there.
Top 3 is always a tier above. So
So
big
this
weight.
This is a weird top 3. You're not gonna like this.
That's all right, mate. It can
I don't like you, so I'm sure.
So we're going back to Matthew McConaughey,
Well, I like that initially.
and we're going to Interstellar.
Okay.
That was
Josh
on my
likes
top
that.
10.
Josh likes that. That's in his
Okay.
top 10.
Big
Good
movie.
film. Good film.
But
So-
more importantly, for you, Jake, what accelerates that film into?
Well-
what capitulates? What ascends that film to greatness for you?
Okay, well,
Did I use capitulate right? I don't think I
No,
did. I completely didn't.
capitulates like falls
Catapults
apart.
the film into the solar system for you, bro.
Solar system, eh?
I was
Nice.
trying to.
Nice fun. Right,
that,
anyway.
that was the furthest thing from smooth I think I've ever done.
so let me talk about this. Right. So for me, as a man of science, as you know, just the eye contact there. I was like,
that was fantastic.
as a man of science. For those of you who don't know, I'm a chemistry student. So yeah,
Bit of a
But-
Heisenberg.
yeah, if you like, yeah, I'll break bad one day. I'll break bad one day. But yeah, I just find the whole like space travel, not that's chemistry, but you know, like the whole like frontier, like component of like space travel is just so cool.
Yeah, it's cool as hell.
The unknown, the endless possibilities. It's such like not plausible because I guess we've got no way of proving it, but like it's quite a nice way of looking at space, like the way they do
Tightly
it.
connected to the current
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, and you kind of feel like it's relatable. You
Yeah.
can believe it could be like that. Which is nice. Which
yeah,
I feel is
it's
cool.
not a Star Trek, it's not a Star
No.
Wars.
But
And
at
like
the same time, it is absolutely mind-blowing.
It's
Like
mind-bending.
what you watch.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just crazy.
That
But
last half
I
an
suppose
hour.
some of that comes from the fact that it is somewhat realistic.
Yeah.
That's what's really blowing your mind. Is when you see something that's so far removed from reality, it's like, wow, this is a spectacle to watch. But because it's so unbelievable, I'm not really blown away. But when you watch something that's at least somewhat plausible, it really
You know,
sort of takes you to another
interestingly,
place.
we didn't watch it all the way through, but my chemistry teacher actually put it on and
Really?
after school. Yeah,
I remember that, and I remember picking up nothing because we were in like
Yeah.
a year 10 classroom, and
everybody
like,
was making
you're
jokes.
never going to get anything done. Yeah,
He was like,
this
"Guys,
guy,
what's
this
the
guy
movie?"
over here, the class clowns. Just,
Whoa.
funnily enough, I actually wasn't the class clown. We had quite a strong roster.
there was
Harry
there were some big
Dunn,
personalities in the classroom.
But yeah, mate, I love the mention of as a scientist. Obviously, you
A man
have a
of
strong
science.
connection.
Yeah.
If you will.
You know, just the time thing. I think that's what I talked about in my top 10. The time dimension and they really asked the questions of like these very far fetched things to us that are quite scientifically rigorous. So the kind of like moving faster. Time moves. Faster for you the closer you get to the speed of light, but they really ask the questions of just like, what would that be like for like a father daughter
Yeah, how's that
relationship?
affect the person?
So
And
heart wrenching.
And I think with such a great cast at the top, McConaughey and Anne Hathaway, we really can get the human element out of it. But
surprise Matt Damon.
Yeah.
spoiler,
The Martian as
for
well.
those who haven't seen it,
Yeah,
but
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure we said it in the other one.
But Jake, what? I mean, you've touched on it in the broad sense very well. I think you're talking about the pushing of the boundaries and just having that done so well on film. But do you reckon you could go a bit more specific, certain scenes, maybe certain moments? Because there are some moments.
For me, so Michael Caine in that film.
Michael Caine. You're supposed to play the bloody dog. Oh, if only Brian was here.
Yeah, we need.
I thought he was a great character.
Yeah.
Always a welcome, addition to any film. I feel.
Nolan in particular.
A favourite of Nolan's.
Yeah, a fan favourite, and yeah, there's a bit where they're going off to space for the first time, and they're going into cryogenic sleep or whatever, and like he reads out a poem, and it's called "The Dying of the Light." It's called. I actually googled it afterwards because I think it's a really cool poem.
I think we had it in GCSE. I remember.
Did we?
Yeah.
In one of our anthologies. Would you like to give a reading of it?
From memory.
I would hate to do anything of that sort.
Okay.
You can if you want. You can if you want.
No, it's all right.
No, you got to. I'll do it now. Come on, you got to do it now. But yeah, that bit.
Jake as Michael Caine.
But that bit there, like that gets me every time.
In the feels.
Like tingles, shivers, erections.
Oh, it's "Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night." It's that one.
Oh, I thought it was "Dying of the Light." Yeah.
Well, should we just do the last stanza? It's interesting the context. We'll just give some. It's about like kind of losing a father, the poem originally, but the fact that Michael Caine's using it in this space context, this new space setting is. It's quite interesting, the link with death and like loss and stuff, despite the fact that they haven't died.
Also because he was the father of the woman, right? The other astronaut.
Oh, he was as well, yeah.
And also he knew, because he didn't solve it on purpose, and he knew that they were doomed on Earth, and that they, on the spaceship, were Earth's and mankind's only hope.
Yeah, and so it was almost like, that's the weird thing with the time stuff, is that, let's just go into after your rendition.
So which bit would you like me to do?
Into the microphone, please. The last stanza.
And you, my father, there on the sad heights, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage against the dying of the light.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Shivers.
Bravo.
Bravo.
But that for me is like one of the
it's
pivotal.
Moving. It's a moving poem.
It is, yeah.
When I actually didn't catch that in the film.
I can remember it. I definitely remember the scene now you've brought it up. And it's with a man with such gravitas as Michael Caine.
Yeah, exactly. If it was anyone else, it wouldn't be so good. But
if I wrote a poem and Michael Caine read it, I'm done. I'm clocking out.
Yeah.
But just the fact that that's mentioned, like, because it's the launching of a spaceship. It's supposed to be exciting. It's about the new frontiers, as you say. But there's acknowledgement of the kind of consequences of time, that it's like he's now lost his daughter, really, because he won't ever see her again.
But I feel like beyond that, for me, it was the fact that they made the situation on Earth so clear that it was basically hopeless, and that them those like 6-7 people, whatever it was literally the
last
hope, and they're going out there to go into a black hole.
Yeah.
The stakes could not be higher, is the thing. And when you're watching that, you're well aware of that.
But that's, I think, usually I'm always sceptical of those kind of stakes, but the thing is they link it with a human element, so the McConaughey-daughter relationship.
Yeah, that's another element of, like, there's a personal stake for him too, as well as the stake. And that the thing is, that all the stake in the sense of the survival of the human race almost takes a back seat to the father-daughter thing, because you have such a personal connection to them.
We can't really comprehend the human race.
No.
And so that's why it's good that that takes the forefront, because then it's almost like you think about that multiplied.
Yeah.
Because that's really what the human race is about. It really gets into like love. Is this the fact that it's such a scientific. Getting quite deep here, but the fact that such a scientific, black hole-y, spacey, like time travel-y kind of shit just ends up on this message of like love and human relationships and the bonds you form between each other.
Yeah.
Like that's about as poetic as it gets. And I think Nolan is, I don't know how much he has with the screenplay, but I think I've been a bit more critical of him recently. Sometimes some of the movies he does are great blockbusters, but lack a bit of the depth. But I thought that was handled very subtly.
Yeah, you do. It's like you said, it's just that father-daughter bond in this film is done perfectly.
Yeah,
like you feel so attached to both of those characters and the relationship between them. Obviously, it helps to have McConaughey as your lead actor, because he's just fantastic. But
what do you think about the black hole, Jake?
The black hole
as a scientist.
What do you mean? What I think about
their conceptualization of the.
I thought it was great. I thought it was great. Well, the thing is, like, I'd imagine that it comes from pretty good theory.
They use equations. They use like groundbreaking equations.
I don't know if it's still the case now, and this could be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure I heard that when they first put that on film and made it, it was the closest thing.
Yeah,
that we had to
a black hole. Yeah,
like, because obviously you can't capture a black hole on, and I think there's been more recent like footage and pictures since then.
There's one quite blurry image of a black hole.
Yeah, but like even that is like quite impressive to
snap memories from maybe a couple of years back. Anyway. But yeah, black holes. Wait,
I don't get a joke.
Don't worry. It's cool. But yeah, so. I also feel like we should give a shout out to the robots on there as well.
It's funny,
SARS,
isn't it?
The little.
Which bit's the?
They take a robot with them called SARS, and he's got like the humour settings that he keeps like changing, and the honesty settings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember.
That's fine.
Yeah, space films are they're always really entertaining, because obviously it's such a like bizarre concept to us, but it's so real because that's where we're situated, but you just can't quite comprehend it.
Yeah.
I watched recently Alien. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I've not seen it, no.
But I was like, that came out in, I don't know, late 70s, 80s maybe, somewhere maybe 80, around that time anyway. And I was like really blown away by how well the space-based shots held up. Like, it looked really good.
Same with the original Blade Runner.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen that. But then obviously Interstellar being a more modern film, the space shots are just absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah,
like the ship
thing.
itself, the wormhole, the planets they land on. The one with the there's that planet that's just with the waves.
The waves, yeah.
All the waves is crazy.
Yeah.
There's something so weird about the planet. Like this idea of exoplanets is such a... Obviously, as a man of science, saying before, I said someone well versed in that. But
yeah.
So I did it as other planets, because obviously we've got the solar system shit. But the idea that these other planets that really could be, not entirely similar, but quite similar. Like, there's just a planet of just ocean.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, that's even within our own solar system, isn't it? And then the snow peaky kind of like the ones where the final, and it does have a great little.
This is where that bastard
finale.
almost tries to kill him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Hate it.
And then where the film kind of goes from there is just
yeah. But also the poor bloke that stayed on the ship.
I know, yeah.
On the water world.
But the thing I like
the guy,
about that,
it's a guy in American Beauty, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he's got the beard when he comes back, and he's like 80 years old.
What I really like
So
about that
sad.
is there's this weird thing about consequence. So like everything seems really insignificant in terms of the time on the water planet. There's this whole like, oh, this is this many hours, blah blah blah, and on the ship, and it's like them being just like seconds late. That's like they fucked that guy over for making that little mistake.
It's years.
Years
and years. It's
and,
decades.
And it's just from the couple seconds they're there, and it's just like, I don't know. There's something really kind of unnerving, because that's how things are, like how seconds can have that big impact on the rest of your life. But the fact that that's done in a very literal sense there is
that's
really interesting.
And
also the massive waves kind of cool.
Yeah, pretty scary actually.
Yeah.
Great, man.
Great.
I
agree heavily with that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I like it. It wasn't in my top 10, but I do really like Interstellar.
Yeah, it just really it really intrigues me, and like just sort of like
absolutely.
It's a sort of like really like. It's what I'm about kind of thing. I think it's really
big
like,
questions.
Yeah, big questions, and like you sort of like watch it, and then you sit there in bed at night before you go to sleep, and you're like, wow, imagine if that was the case.
We're in space, bro.
How cool would that be?
I mean that's what fiction's really there for. To like, you can study the equations and as much as you want, but something needs to bring it alive to a point where it can inspire us. And I think fiction's quite good for that, and movies in particular.
Yeah, because I guess that then inspires the new, fiction. Non-fiction stuff.
Well,
like
the new great scientists of the next generation, such as the ones sitting here before us.
Yeah.
Stop it, I can't do anything.
Invents a new type of cocaine, and that's it.
Not Pablo Escobar, man.
Wait, what?
What?
Good
call. A big fan of Nolan. Is that you've had Interstellar and was there another Nolan film on here?
No.
There wasn't.
No.
What the hell am I talking about then? Anyway, on to number two.
Number two. Right, okay, so number two. Now we're going rogue. Okay. I had to throw this in because I thought it always makes me laugh. It's got a good cast. It's quite old.
Pineapple Express.
How did you know? It's Pineapple Express.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Was it actually?
Yeah.
Pineapple
Pineapple Express.
We literally predicted
Money
that.
on the head.
Was it actually?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wait,
no
did
way.
we? I don't remember talking.
Well, let me just check my phone and make sure that's correct.
Was it not with you?
I don't
Pineapple
think I was
Express.
with
I feel like someone I was talking with just like, oh, Jake's, it's just gonna be like all Seth Rogen films and just like.
at the start of this,
Express.
you said a joke about Seth.
Why would it just be Seth Rogen though? I'm confused.
It was just a joke.
It's on brand.
Just you being a classic dude loves a Seth Rogen movie. And,
Who doesn't love a
that's
Seth
it.
Rogen movie?
Anyway,
No,
very funny film.
Oh,
Very
no,
funny
yeah.
film.
I'm not taking it.
No, that's right. I don't mean.
Oh no, I'm not taking it like that. No.
Funny, isn't it?
Yeah, old Neymar. Sunny, isn't it?
But yeah, so banging film, great cast. It's just got such a cool like early 2000s vibe to it.
Yeah, definitely. No worries in the world.
Yeah, and it's just sort of like, and the biggest thing and James Franco in it's great. And like that whole like group of actors like Jonah Hill.
Yeah, they all have the.
And like they're always in sort of similar films together, and they've got such a like a cool thing going. I think
you're on the right Wi-Fi. I've only seen it once, and it was like it took me quite a while to get around to watching it after I'd had a lot of people say it was really funny. But when I did, I was like, oh yeah, I can see what like the hype is about. It is really.
I've watched it too many times. But yeah,
but that's the market.
I feel like
you like a lot.
I forgot his name, but this guy Daniel.
That actor.
No, what is his name? Danny McBride or something.
Yeah, I think so.
I think he's funny. James Franco's face in it is brilliant, but excuse me. This is definitely a flagship film of that.
It was their first big film.
Really?
Sure. Yeah, it's the oldest for sure.
That.
Or maybe
it's definitely
maybe
one.
was Superbad before?
Well, James Franco's not in Superbad.
No,
but Seth Rogen wrote Superbad.
Yeah.
With someone else, I think, but he was one of the main writers of it, and obviously he acts in it as well. But when you think of Seth Rogen films, this is very much the one or one of the big ones that springs to mind. I think probably most people would agree.
I love the scene, the opening scene with Bill. Who's also plays the other cop in Superbad. Yeah, where he's in that little like military test lab about weed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that bit is so
they've got like
funny.
the diver's suit on.
That bit is so funny.
It's a great like.
He's such a good actor, that guy.
Yeah, it's obviously part of the like quite big stoner culture with these kind of films, and they just make fun of like the whole kind of because weed's one of those big things where it's like. It's nowhere near the other drugs in terms of damagingness, but it was treated historically like that, kind of under the Reagan administration. Reagan.
Ronald
Reagan. McDonald. But and it's very much kind of like making fun of that attitude with it, and the fact that. He just starts just like taking the absolute piss as they're trying to do these scientific
military tests. Yeah, he's very that guy. what's that actor called? I can't remember. I see him very much
Bill
as the
Hader. I think
I see him very much as the American Stephen Merchant. He's that type type of
like a proper like weird guy.
Yeah, like that type of vibe, that type of actor.
Because isn't he in Paul as well? He's one of the FBI agents in Paul, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I remember the scene where he's like, they're quizzing him outside the. You're right.
But yeah, just again, like another film you can chuck on for a bit of easy watching.
Is it a big reference one for you? I think comedies are great for references.
This one, not so much. There's not.
I've only seen it once, so I can't.
There's not many punchlines that you can sort of go for in this. I don't think. It's just the whole. Just the whole vibe of it, really. It's just.
But yeah, so is that because it's very high up on your list? Is it got some? Have you got some kind of personal attachment with it? Did you watch it quite young or?
No, I only watched it for the first time maybe 2 years ago now.
Really?
Right.
And then I made, or did it make is a weird word to say. I suggested that Misha and Jane watched it.
Right.
At one point at Jane's back at the start of second year. And yeah, like that, I don't think they liked it so much. But
Jake's just creasing.
Yeah. I was just like,
you see the bit where
we had to go home early, so we didn't get to see the whole thing. So if you're listening, guys, give it a watch. But there's your shout out.
Yeah, there you go. You're welcome.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, right? But it's just Seth Rogen for me is like. You have like a certain type of food that your mum makes or whatever. It's just like very like homely, and like you always have it when you're feeling like a bit like whatever. That Seth Rogen is that.
I know what you mean, man. I know what you mean.
It's just very like it just fills a hole.
I feel so friendly.
Yeah. I just feel like if he's on the screen, I'm kind of like this is.
Let's be real. It's his laugh, isn't it?
Huh?
It's his laugh.
Yeah. His laugh. Yeah.
Do a Seth Rogen laugh.
I can't remember what it sounds like.
It's just. It just sounds like Family Guy.
Yeah. It's kind of like I can't do it. But,
Chuck, do a YouTube clip of it.
But we're big fans of Superbad.
Yeah.
Have you seen?
So Superbad was going to be in my top 10, but I took it out.
Okay.
It was between Pineapple Express and Superbad, because I didn't want to be the same end.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We love Superbad. Superbad was my favourite comedy of all time.
Superbad's got more quotable moments, for sure.
So many quotable moments.
Would you prefer the vibe of Pineapple Express? The kind of chaotic, just stoner getting through trouble.
But the thing is, like, I feel bad saying that about Superbad, because I do love Jonah Hill equally.
Yeah.
As Seth Rogen.
Michael Cera.
Yeah.
Michael Cera's great.
It's good, but he's not
McLovin.
Well seen though.
Michael Cera.
Yeah.
He's in a TV show I really like. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. He's in.
Is he in Project X?
Don't think so. But Miles Teller. No, is Miles.
No,
Miles
I'm thinking of the last bit of Superbad as Project X. Yeah.
No, but he's in. Man, I can't think what else he's in there, but. That's it. That's Snoop Dogg.
No, I still can't do it.
He still can't. Jim Carrey, How Wealthy People Are. Anyway, we don't need to watch that now.
Snoop Dogg, my guy. Did you see that he's got an employee who he pays $50,000 a year to just to smoke, just to roll his joints for him?
What, Snoop Dogg?
Yeah, Snoop Doggy Dogg.
Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and they were talking about Snoop Dogg's longevity. Yeah. How mad he is as famous now as he was like when he burst onto the scene.
Yeah,
and he's been famous now for what, like 30 years.
It's crazy.
And he's just as famous as he ever was.
Either. He looks the exact same.
He is never gonna not be famous.
Well, he had Snoop Lion. He had that phase, didn't he?
Yes, Snoop.
But it's the fact that
was such a short-lived thing. And he was still famous.
He was part of the whole like the start of like that kind of West Coast hip hop thing, which is huge. And then he was also in stuff like Drop It Like It's Hot. Like,
well, that's a tune, mate.
Really did the rounds.
Yeah, no, he's great. Snoop Dogg.
But I really like what you said about the kind of the home comfort element of Seth Rogen. And I think, especially for just our kind of age group, that's very, very much a truth for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's what the top 10 is all about, the kind of personal films that comfort you in some way.
But it's just James Franco's and his like relationship in the film. Yeah. It's just so.
There's a great bromance.
Yeah, it's a bromance, and like I say, it is a pretty bad film, like all round. Like the actual plot of it's very linear, and you can guess what's happening. This is the whole point. You've got. I always say this. You've always got to judge a film by what it's trying to do. Yeah.
And what it's trying to do, it nails.
Just make you laugh.
Yeah. There you go.
It's a shit.
And it makes you laugh, but like with Superbad, it does explore some interesting issues of friendship, and that's obviously the things that are going to be. They're not going to try to write about some deep kind of socio-political thing that they don't have much experience with. They're going to write about the things they know, which is like their kind of close friendships and, well, for Seth Rogen and James Franco, weed probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But there's a great bit of action. I do think the plot's fun. The whole kind of like dirty cops and drug dealing in LA.
I honestly can't remember the plot that well. I mean, I've only seen it once. And like when I just watched it and was really entertained by it, I can't think that.
I just remember there was like a dirty cop basically.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, Seth Rogen sees a dirty cop who's involved in like the drug scene.
Yeah.
Killing another rival drug.
I remember
person.
that. Yeah, I remember that.
And then basically he leaves his joint on the floor outside the house where he saw it.
Right.
And that had Pineapple Express weed in it. And he got it off his dealer, who's the only guy in town who's got it. So then when the drug dealer guy found the Zoot end and then spoke to it, he knew it was Pineapple Express. And that's why it's called Pineapple Express. And then they're basically chasing them the whole film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which is quite a funny little plot.
Pretty entertaining.
And the whole thing was that like this Pineapple Express weed was like super, super rare because it only came and grew in Mexico during the El Nino years.
Was this is it the one they were testing? Is that the clip at the start?
No, that was just
so is that just completely unrelated?
No, that's just like but no,
that's so funny that
at the end it goes back to that exact same place, and that's where they're now growing weed.
Oh, so it does have relevance.
Yeah, fair play. Yeah. So it's literally like full circle.
So there's quite a lot to it, to be fair.
I mean, yeah,
it's not.
There's some substance.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, I like that. I respect that you have a comedy really high up, because it's so easy to be like, yeah, don't get me wrong, I like a comedy, but like it's not, I just can't pick it over another film that's like a more deep and meaningful film.
No, I'm very much like
you can't, if you enjoy it and you like it personally, it goes in your list for that reason.
Film really goes into a lot of different areas. Like there's the art form, the thriller stuff, but like they're so personal, like we said.
Yeah,
and like, I think with the animation film topic, we really went into just the kind of, the kind of importance it can place in your life. Or just when you're in a tight spot, you just need some kind of.
Animated films are great for that. Animated films are probably some of the films, like as a genre, it's probably the films I feel like most personally attached to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because there's massive nostalgia factors with, well, pretty much all of them, to be honest, because the majority of animated films I've seen that I really like came from my childhood. So you can't get away from that nostalgia factor.
And with Jake and Pineapple Express, you've got the nostalgia factor.
But that's the thing, like,
mate.
It's what I grew up on.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Very good, though. Very good.
Here we
Yeah,
go. I know what it is.
We're at the summit. I feel like
You know what it is.
I feel like when you've mentioned it before to both of us, so I feel like I might know what it is, but he might be a complete
Will Crew also gave me some hints as to what it might be.
Okay.
And the battle of wit that might be.
Maybe it's. Okay, yeah, I do think I know what it is.
Okay, tell me what you think it is.
3,
2, 1.
The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you put on,
I was born in the darkness.
I was born in the darkness.
Nobody cared who I was, so I put on the mask.
But yeah, so when we watched it earlier on, I was quite like, oh, this is quite,
You played that.
Well,
You played that cool.
Josh only put that on because he thought that was going to be.
Was it? Was
Yeah.
it a little bit,
Like so to get us in the mood.
I didn't know it was going to be
be
number one though.
I thought it was because you definitely said when you've been talking to both of us before that you because we mentioned about the top 10 potentially. You said Dark Knight Rises might be up there. I remember that. But yeah, please. Oh, so this is maybe that's why I said you had other Nolan on here.
Yeah,
because I was thinking subconsciously.
You played that very cool, mate. You
I
played
was
that very
thinking,
cool.
I see.
Yeah. So for me, like, I don't know. In comparison to The Dark Knight, we'll leave that for a couple of minutes' time. But this film, I don't know. I can watch it as many times as you like, and it won't get old. And it's just.
I would like you to watch it absolutely 0 times.
The whole.
Well, come on, mate. You can still appreciate it, even if you prefer you were just bantering. You're just
Captain Banter. That's me.
But like the
Edward.
The sense of despair that they like create when they like block off the whole of New York City.
Yeah.
Gotham City.
Gotham.
It's Gotham, not New York.
But New York is Gotham.
Is
it's
it?
the same place? Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't. I've seen all the Dark Knight films, but I'm not as.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't dislike them, but I'm just not as big a fan, so I don't really know a lot about them.
Gotham is New York.
Right.
And
what like the version of New York?
I mean, it's just New York. Like they film it in New York.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But in the DC universe, it's not called New York. It's called Gotham.
Yeah, fair enough.
Shout outs to the guys in Nottingham. Batman's house is here.
Batman's house.
Yeah,
Conor Gilchrist loves that one.
Yeah, he does love Batman's house.
Future guest of the pod.
Yeah. Well, I mean, next weekend.
House. Batman's house.
Anyway, but yeah, like so obviously like with the Dark Knight, you've got the sense of despair and like chaos from the Joker and what he deploys into the whole scene.
Yeah.
But you can escape it because not everyone's quite literally like physically locked into it. But in the Dark Knight Rises, it every single form of transport off of Manhattan is blocked, so you can't get off.
Yeah.
And if you do try and get off, the nuclear bombs will go off. So it's just this whole like feeling of being so like entrapped and just I don't know. I just think it's great.
It becomes its own little like world.
Yeah, exactly.
World.
Yeah, and it's like a game of cat and mouse between like. Well, not so much Batman and Bane because Batman is defeated for a majority of the film, isn't he?
Yeah.
And it's like the perfect comeback story for him, and how all the sort of like smaller characters who aren't so significant band together to make just as significant force as Batman.
Will Crew actually, because this came up in the trilogy thing, and I was trying to think like, in my head, there wasn't that good a kind of connective tissue between all these 3 films in terms of the storyline of Batman, but he did gave a great defense of it, which kind of merits the like what you're saying about the Dark Knight Rises, because I love the first 2 films, and it was like I thought this one was okay, but it just didn't grab me the way the other 2 did. But looking at it from the trilogy perspective, the fact that he kind of gets defeated in the middle movie, to then, rather than like have the even get defeated then come back at the very end, blah blah blah, like most of the movie is him just kind of like brooding from the fact that he's failed.
Well, but I think that stems from, like you say, it doesn't like connect that well to the Dark Knight.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like that was a good response to that.
Yeah, because the whole thing is that after he kills, was it Harvey Dent?
Yeah.
Doesn't he at the end of the Dark Knight?
Two-Face.
So yeah, after he kills Two-Face and throws the Joker off the roof. You know, is basically becomes a villain in the eyes of Gotham, and that's sort of like from the end of the Dark Knight all the way through till the end of the Dark Knight Rises. It's his demise, and then his like journey back up to the top.
Yeah.
Which I
very
think is cool.
different take on superhero films, isn't it? But that's what the whole trilogy does.
That's just DC, though, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, no, of course.
Like, yeah.
The scene in the American football stadium sticks in
Oh,
my head so clearly.
That's
that is really like, I don't know what the word is, but it's hard to watch, but you can't take your eyes off it. Like it's just
because it's like it could happen.
Oh, it could, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it probably has happened.
I think that kind of the strength of this movie, like what you were saying, the kind of, it does scale up things a lot. Like the clip we watched before this was the airplane scene.
That's a bit of a boring. I feel like it's a bit of a.
Okay, fair enough. But
I thought that scene was pretty gripping.
The park and the whole
edge of my seat, mate.
The whole island thing, and I remember just some scenes about them being like it's iced over the lake, and they're kind of on the lake, but it really, it really like,
yeah.
I don't know. It I do like the kind of I don't know what, like physical. No, I can't think of the word, but I do think that the sense of setting with Gotham City is very well done there. Much like the first movie. The first movie I think is great, and Gotham City is almost the main bad guy. This,
in a way,
it's not like that as much as this, but I don't know, it does.
It utilises the city. It places a lot more focus back on the city.
Yeah.
Where the middle film sort of departed from that a bit, not necessarily in a bad way, because the focus that the middle film places on characters is obviously amazing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of bookends the trilogy in its focus on the city quite nicely. Because as you say, the first one's very prominently about Gotham.
Yeah. Thoughts on Bane?
Okay, yeah. Another reason why I like it so much is because, I mean, that's Tom Hardy.
Yeah. He's cool as fuck.
And how like that is just the best role you could ever play. Like it's crazy.
I think he's pretty cool.
The voice.
Iconic. The voice is pretty iconic.
And I think, he's not as good as the Joker, obviously, because the Joker's just someone else.
Yeah.
But
that is Joker is Batman's main villain.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. It's always tough when you're following the main villain.
But to come in, like you're saying, and follow the Joker, I feel like he did an exceptional job.
Yeah, he did.
It's a very different type of villain, and I do really like this whole kind of he's quite a mercenary type of figure, but this man who's leading these large troop of criminals. I'm really struggling to find the words just looking at it, but his whole get up is very different. There's a bit of Bane is obviously a much bigger physical, like brute force, like actual like Hulkish character in the comic books.
His superpower is the strength kind of thing, isn't it?
And in this, obviously, he's still really strong. He kind of like breaks Batman's back in one bit.
Yeah, that scene where he snaps him over his knee is just.
But I don't know. There's something about I guess we mentioned it before, the Black Panther, but like he is very much brute force as opposed to the Joker's like tricks and kind of games played, and we just go back to kind of brute force and that kind of just.
It's the physical versus the psychological, the contrast between those two.
But I also think that it borders the psychological as well.
Oh, it does. Don't get me wrong. It absolutely delves into it.
He's more just like, look, if you move, I'm going to nuke you.
Yeah.
No, but that's literally what it is. He's like, I'm going to cut off the whole island.
But I'd say that's more brute force in terms of like he like what's cool about him is like with the airplane thing. He finds a way to command this like massive. The thing about the Joker is he plays off all the criminals, and he's got this small little troop of like people and stuff. But he's just a guy by himself, and he just gets in the heads of all the criminals and plays off. Bane is just like a natural leader of the criminals, and he just physically puts a stop to all these things.
True. No, that's a good point.
But yeah, it is.
It's a good switch of a good change of dynamic. Villain-wise, between the two films.
Interesting. Like I need to rewatch it at some point. I'd love to do a little.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it.
I can't challenge you too much on the Dark Knight. I was expecting more of a battle, but I don't have. You've given some pretty good answers to why it's your favourite. I don't have that much to really throw back at you.
Did a lot of good work.
Yeah,
and also
laid the groundwork for you, Jake. You better be grateful.
The way it links back to the first film as well. That's the thing. It links to the second film and then back to the first film, where because he is actually from the League of Shadows, right? Which is how
really?
Batman trained.
See, this is why I need to rewatch them.
Bane is from the League of Shadows.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's why he's out to get Gotham, because Batman killed Ra's al Ghul in the first film by burning down the whole like temple in the mountains, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like a whole, they've gone
Cycle.
They've gone from where he started to Joker to background, and again it's that nice like circularity to the story.
Yeah.
Cyclical.
That's it. Is circularity not a word?
I think it probably is.
Cyclicality.
Could be.
You say a cyclical structure, is there? But they all mean the same thing. We know what each other means.
Yeah.
Like a circle.
Just like a circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, can I request that you put on one clip?
Yeah.
Please do.
I don't know if you'll be able to find it very
For the
well.
number one, I'd love to see it.
But so you mentioned
Just Anne Hathaway in the cat suit.
that clip where they go onto the ice, but then Batman saves them when Gordon goes onto the ice, and then Batman comes back for the first time.
What happens if Mr. Freeze from Batman and Robin comes up?
Is it?
Ice, man.
Yeah, I think that's almost coming up. Which one is it?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, but probably that one 4 minutes.
Yeah, we'll skip.
What? Oh my goodness.
Jesus.
I thought that was the clip for a second. I was like, I do not remember that from the film.
Here, or should we
Skip it a little bit. Go back. So yeah, like they're on the ice. And the music as well.
Yeah.
I always forget the music is so good.
Hans Zimmer just does the business, doesn't he?
Light it up.
This bit is just like shivers.
Yeah. That's the shot from like the DVD cover and posters and stuff.
Yeah.
That like burning.
Yeah. And that's when he's just come back from the well.
Keep her close. He'll come for her.
Where's Miranda Tate?
Is that?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that lighting up of the building.
Watching the clip, like I do think Bane's great. Kind of like Thanos, and that there's a very measured, like
That's a good
calculated
comparison. Actually, that is a good, interesting.
Which again
comparison.
is different to the Joker kind of thing.
Well, the Joker he's still calculating because obviously he has it all planned ahead, but he's just he's just chaos in a character. But obviously he still has it like meticulously planned out, and he's in control of everything. But his whole thing, he's not like his presence is chaotic.
I still think like he obviously like he's got plans, but it's more like what he's done is games. Like he plans the games, and then he kind of wants to see what the outcome is.
See how it plays off. I see what you mean. So he hasn't planned through every.
Whereas Bane's trying to execute a strategy, but like that's still obviously the Joker's doing a good job. But another thing is I think that's great because it really that's a good scene in the whole kind of bringing Batman back from what he was, and that the Dark Knight's a great series for asking a question of like what would a superhero look like in a world where vigilantism is quite a dangerous concept.
This is it. You just said it was a more gritty and darker version than MCU.
Yeah, of course.
And it is because it's asking you whether a superhero can actually exist in the modern world.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's another cool element to it.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting element. Yeah,
it's like
that's a good way of like.
It's like murdering people and beating up people who are supposedly bad, actually like legally justified.
Yeah.
Like no, it's not.
Two wrongs make it right kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cut it down to its most basic elements.
Yeah, precisely.
I think that's why Batman really like stays the test. Like they're good doing another Batman series with Robert Pattinson.
Yeah,
I think it's because that particular.
I think that has potential to be. I mean, I don't know, but like I think Robert Pattinson's a pretty good actor. I'm basing that off. I mean, we saw him in what was he in recently? We saw Tenet.
Yeah,
I thought he was really good in Tenet.
Yeah,
in a film that I didn't think was amazing.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson was noticeably good. That's my boy.
Harry Potter reference there. It's a hot.
Cedric Diggory.
Do you know what? I'm not a big fan of Harry Potter at all.
I'm quite impartial to it now. I used to like it a lot when I was a kid. I was a big fan of the books, and so I like the films naturally. And I can still watch the films and enjoy them now, but I don't feel particularly attached to it as I do to some other series.
Yeah.
But I do like it, definitely.
But to go back to the Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. Anyway, why are we talking about Harry Potter?
What a big entry. The Dark Knight film. I think Dark Knight. I think I was saying Jack a while ago. I do think Dark Knight is a strong chance of coming up in most people's top tens, just because it really it's such a blockbuster for everybody of our age group.
That'll be in those top 100, I presume, when you were looking at that.
Yeah, they were. They both were, actually.
Yeah.
And I like
because Batman Begins tends not to get as much. You really like it, don't you, Josh?
It wasn't such a blockbuster.
The other two tend to get a lot more. I don't know, just sort of favourability. Well, he's like that performance, as we always say, and every time you mention it, deserves a shout. That performance is just unbelievably good.
Yeah,
like it's just nailed.
Did he die?
Heath Ledger did,
Yeah.
And it was
there's a lot of mythology behind
it. I'm pretty sure they hadn't completed filming of it. Yeah, which is obviously so sad. Like it's heartbreaking. But the performance he was putting on, because he got really deep into method acting of the role, and I don't think. Well, I mean, I have no idea. I'm not sure if that was the sole reason or not. But they hadn't completed filming when it happened, so I'm pretty sure for some of the later scenes it was his face CGI'd on kind of thing, because they hadn't made all the scenes. But he, like, what he does in that film is just breathtaking. Like the performance is so captivating, and he absolutely steals the film from a character like to steal it from a character like Batman. And you've got a star like Christian Bale playing Batman, and he takes the back seat completely in that film to Heath Ledger as the Joker.
So what for you puts The Dark Knight Rises above? Do you think it's a more well-rounded film as opposed to The Dark Knight, where the Joker is the main?
Yeah, a more rounded film overall. I kind of like the storyline better. If we're talking about like individual performances, obviously the Joker's 10 times better. But equally, I feel like Bane's.
But Bane is good.
He's good.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, it's like sort of like Thanos. Like it's not all about Bane and what he's doing, whereas the Joker gets a lot of screen time. Bane doesn't.
No.
It's about what he's doing.
The effects of Bane gets a lot of screen time.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of like about him as a villain.
Yeah.
Is that he's, like you said, reserved but knows what he's doing, and I don't know. It's just a nicer way of causing
reserved,
chaos.
but still very intimidating.
Yeah,
like,
intimidating.
very
and basically,
intimidating.
like I say, he's a mercenary. He's a military man, and it's just kind of, you can see the method and everything. It makes a great villain, and ultimately, he's the one that broke Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Joker never did that.
But
then he did.
Psychologically.
I guess physically he broke Batman, but then like
Joker
mentally,
psychologically, tore him to pieces.
Great film. Contentious.
Yeah, but again, it's something I'd happily debate all
but
day.
No, please, and that's what the lists are very personal.
Yeah,
and like it's surprising. Like I'd be surprised to come across. Like I don't know if I've ever met someone with the same number one films. Like there's very often you might get a clash within your list overlapping at a different number, but it's rare to find someone with the same favourite film as you, because they are so personal. That's what makes these lists so interesting.
But a weird thing about both Batman films, actually, well, I've not seen the first one too many times, but Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, I've seen a lot of times. Would I want to watch it again now? Not really, because I've seen it that many times. But despite that, it's still my top film.
That's Inception for me. I've seen it so many times, but it will never not be the film that like catapulted young me into just being like, this is an incredible art.
Do you feel if you watch it more, you'll dislike it?
Most of the time,
yeah.
But to me, it's almost like a Christmas movie for people. I'll watch it every now and then and just enjoy it for what I can. I don't expect that same thing. I won't ever get those same kind of feelings, but I love.
But the fact that it gave you them in the first place, is why it's there. And yeah, just like that.
Just like that.
That's
it's all
the top 10
done.
completed, mate.
How does it feel?
Yeah, it's great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Not at all, mate. Thank you.
It's been a nice couple of hours.
Thank you for coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. It's been great to get really like in depth with some of the films you mentioned.
Yeah. And you made some great points and some great justifications, I've got to say.
I love the link ups with all the stuff we've talked about previously, because it gives us a good opportunity to kind of come back to.
It's good. Like, good to go over some films that have been mentioned before, but we could talk about in a different light, like with a different perspective. It's always useful to go into.
Obviously, JKP with his vision of the world brings fresh glance, fresh perspective.
Yeah, a fresh pair of eyes, maybe.
Any parting words?
Closing
to the listeners. Three parting words. Any in the English language.
Subscribe and like.
Yes. Perfect.
You sir, I just got signed up.
Yeah, literally, mate. See you next week.
No commission for you.
Lovely stuff.
Jake Pinnell.
Thank you, boys.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye and good night.